Thank you. Do we have a Girl Scout troop in attendance? Would you like to come up and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? And I believe this is Girl Scout Troop 12993.
Okay. I'll mute the computer.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Where is this Girl Scout troop from? Right. Where do you meet? Oh, well, you don't have to give the address out. Wonderful. Why don't we go ahead and do it now?
Hi, I'm Rosemary Kennerly, and I'm here on behalf, or I'm only here because I'm the leader of this wonderful Girl Scout troop. This is just a few of them. This is troop 12993, and most of them have been with this troop since they were in kindergarten. So I'm going to let them tell you about the project.
Hi, my name is Annie Murphy. I'm with Girl Scout Troop 12993. When we learned that the council chambers were renamed after Katie Dorset, we researched and interviewed and made a project about her. Hi, my name is Charlotte Leonard. I'm going to tell you one interesting fact about Katie Dorset. For starters, not only was she a strong and powerful woman, but she was also the first African-American woman to be on the Greensboro City Council.
Hi, my name is Clara Jernigan. One thing that I thought was really cool was that Katie Dorset was the first African-American woman in the governor's cabinet.
I'm Meg Kennerly, and one thing I learned is that she served in the state senate.
I'm Layla Jordan, and we interviewed multiple people about her, including you, Councilwoman Wells, and we're going to show you a video about it.
Hi, I'm Meg. And I'm Caroline, and we are Girl Scout Troop 12993. And we are at the City Council Chambers, which were named after Katie Gray Dorset. And we are so excited to talk to you about Ms. Dorset and show you everything we learned about her.
Like the word, Maya Angelou has a poem about women, and the title of it is A Phenomenal Woman. My mother truly meets that definition.
Ms. Dorset was one of my personal sheroes. She influenced people because she was such a role model.
Katie Dorset left her mark on the city of Greensboro, on Guilford County, and on the state of North Carolina. She served with integrity. She served her citizens well. We could all be proud of her, a woman of distinction.
So she was just great at everything that she did. And I know everybody feels that way about their mother, but I think that's true about my mother.
And we are at the City Council Chambers, which were named after.
And again, there's a longer form of this video. It's on YouTube, and we have sent it to all of you, so you should be able to watch it. And on behalf of some of these girls and the rest who couldn't be here tonight, I just want to thank you for naming the chambers after Dr. Dorset and giving us a chance to learn more about her. We all enjoyed learning more about her and learning what more that they can be when they grow up too. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Since we are doing a hybrid meeting, I do want to go ahead and take attendance. Mrs. Hoffman, are you on the line?
Yes, I'm here, Mayor.
Okay, Mrs. Hoffman, Mrs. Thurm,
Here.
Dr. Wells,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem. Obviously, I am here. Ms. Abuzawader, Mr. Matheny, Mr. Holston, and Mrs. Hightower.
Present.
And may the record reflect that all council members are present for this meeting. Welcome to the Katie Dorset Council Chamber. Residents may sign up to speak by 6 o'clock by using the Q-Minder kiosk just outside the chamber door. Please see the courier for assistance. Motions and votes will be conducted electronically. Each member of council must vote unless there is a direct conflict. We do allow and welcome speakers to address council at the public forum. Council respects the right for the public to speak about matters of concern that can be addressed by council. Each speaker will be allotted 3 minutes. Comments that seem to be intended to incite unlawful behavior will be deemed out of order. Zoom participants are requested to mute their microphones until they are called upon to speak. The city of Greensboro is committed to promoting an environment that is free of discrimination, bias, and bullying. Thus, harassment, words, jokes, actions, or comments based on an individual's sex, sexual orientation, race, ethnic background, age, religion, physical condition, or other legally protected characteristic will not be tolerated. We do have a consent agenda for items G1 through G8, which are a grouping of agenda items that are voted on with one single vote to expedite what are believed to be routine and non-controversial items. Any member of council may withdraw an item from the consent agenda due to the purpose of voting no. Items removed from the consent agenda for discussion will be placed on the December 20th City Council business agenda. This meeting does include closed captioning. Depending on the length of tonight's meeting, we may take a short recess around 7:30. I do need a motion from council to postpone until our next meeting items I1 and I3. I1 is a resolution to establish a Community Heroes Homebuyer Program, and I3 is an ordinance amending Chapter 26 of the Greensboro Code of Ordinances titled Social Districts.
So moved.
Moved
Second.
by Mrs. Hightower, seconded by Mr. Matheny.
No.
Oh,
I don't support this.
Dr. Wells seconded.
So I'm
okay.
gonna request. to
So,
speak.
seconded by Dr. Wells. It is helpful if, we use the computer for the motion and the second. So let the record
Okay.
reflect that it was moved by Mrs. Hightower, seconded by Dr. Wells. We can do this verbally. All in favor, say aye.
Can I speak to it?
Opposed? Mrs. Hoffman?
Aye, please.
Thank you. And I believe the vote will be 8-1.
Well, but can I not speak to it? I signed up to speak before a motion goes through.
Well, let me ask
It
you,
actually didn't.
should I just do the motion
show
for
up.
I1 and then let I3 be separate? Let me do a motion for I1 only. And-
Okay.
And that way we're not combining them. no more.
And that is for the
For the
Community
heroes.
Heroes
Yes.
Homebuyer Program. That is to delay
delay
to
to
the,
the-
to the next meeting.
20, yes.
And the second by Dr. Wells.
Mhm.
Again, all in favor, say aye.
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 Mrs. Hoffman?
Aye.
And that passes 9-0. The I3 is it is the ordinance amending Chapter 26 of the Greensboro Code of Ordinances titled Social District. Mr. Matheny?
Well, I spoke with the Assistant City Attorney, Harold, or this afternoon after this, I saw this came up and read into it. First of all, there's numerous issues with expanding the downtown portion that we can discuss now, or it can wait to a more appropriate time. B, the State Street, unfortunately, the State Street merchants they need a little more coaching and ability to get it done. And so there's concern whether they're going to be able to get it done by December 20th. And so I think to just go ahead and delay that to the 20th is not going to be enough time for them to get it on, per the assistant city attorney. So to
So
me,
you would rather it be January?
I would not, first of all, I will tell y'all, as I stated in my email earlier, I am not supportive of expanding the downtown social district as it's laid out. So that needs to go away. As far as the State Street, I think the State Street merchants really need to dictate when it would be on that meeting agenda. So therefore, we kind of need to wait. Hopefully they can get it by December 20th, but to just say January, they could come back in January and say, we need more time.
So the merchants that I've spoken to are on State Street are excited for this to happen, and they were hoping that it would happen by the holiday season, because that is a big season for foot traffic.
I would support of doing State Street tonight, but I don't know if Chuck, if you're aware of Ms. Harrell is here to discuss the State Street issues, but State Street versus downtown, the fact that they're combined, I guess we're just trying to shove State Street into a curtain ordinance, which is not the same, apples to apples. And her concern was there was only one business that was pushing it. I'm all for State Street.
And businesses are not compelled to join the social district, even if they're in the social district.
They don't have to, right?
Right.
So
Mayor,
I just don't know anything about the State Street district.
Mayor, I can expound just a little. We are working with the businesses to ensure that all of the businesses that are on State Street that want to be a part of this particular social district, the ones that are participating, and it's not a whole lot of them, but they can accommodate the requirements in the ordinance. As you know, there are some logistical things that they need to reach as it relates to the cups, the requirements, and so forth within the ordinance that are spelled out. So it may take a little more time. We did have a conversation with the gentleman who's the lead for that group today, and early January will be just fine with that group. I think in between now and then, before we come back before council, we will have a meeting, a direct meeting with all the businesses that want to participate.
So
Trey,
if we want to put those off till January 3rd, we could do that and split them. We could do the
I
State
think the
Street
downtown
separate.
should go away.
I don't have a problem with the downtown.
Well, it just
bringing
doesn't
to the
make any
park.
sense. And, the Tanger Center, drawing that in, the Tanger Center, Matt Brown and the Tanger Center, the management of the Tanger Center doesn't want cups coming into the Tanger Center. They will not be issuing cups coming out of the Tanger Center. So arbitrarily drawing the Tanger Center in doesn't make sense. And I can discuss Center City Park all day as well, but there's no kiosk or businesses around it. And so I would prefer not to do downtown on the 20th and allow me to educate why we drew it out. So I'd rather table that. And as far as State Street, Trey, if we voted on State Street tonight, I'm happy to work with them. It is in District 3 to try to get them up and going by Christmas or the holiday season so that they could do it. Do you think if we voted on it tonight, it can get done that fast?
I just wouldn't be comfortable yet without having direct conversation with all of the businesses that are participating.
Yeah,
I
I think
think-
the difference
yeah, I think-
was like, so I would love to participate to help them achieve what they're trying to achieve with the website, the cups, getting people excited, understanding, answering questions related to ABC, public safety, et cetera, and signage. You don't just, there's a lot to it.
I think if we can meet with them in the next week or so, then we possibly could come back by the next meeting.
Because they're
Whether
not,
I'm here or
they're not going to order the cups until they know that they've got the
It's gonna be
social
tough to
district.
get cups.
Yes, so.
But
Um,
I'm all, so if you want to go ahead and do the 20th, I mean, we've got time. You don't have to name it the 20th, but if we were to meet with them next week, if we got it done by Thursday, then it could be on the 20th meeting, whether I'm here or not for State Street.
That pending, whatever council's desire is, and to make sure that we can meet with those businesses and they're ready.
So we do have a very long agenda on the 20th. But if it's something that we think that we want to tackle on the 20th, What is the pleasure?
Madam Mayor, just a question. So even if we did approve on the 20th, that still would not give them time enough to order cups and things. Those things are 2 to 4 weeks behind in order to order all of that prior to launching. I mean, I personally, and I mentioned today, I would love to see all of this happen before the holidays, but just knowing the logistics and planning and trying to order cups, I'm sorry, but cups are something that, it takes a while to get when they're like that.
Yeah, so I don't want to answer where the businesses are as it relates to ordering. If you'll give me an opportunity to get with the coordinator in the morning, I think some of them already have them. I think the concern was to ensure that they had the proper signage, the proper stickers for the cups. But then also a lot of it is making sure logistically that the businesses are operating within the parameters so that they don't cause issues for the businesses themselves.
So let's
Right.
keep it on the 20th. If we have to move it, we'll move it.
And I welcome, I'll coordinate with you. I'll bring maybe some members of our team downtown to show them and educate them on how to do it.
Okay.
Okay, so at this point, both of those items are moved to the next meeting on the 20th.
Madam Mayor, again, I just like to reiterate, I prefer, I'm asking the downtown part of it not be included on the 20th and let State Street go forward.
Yeah, I was talking the community heroes. I'm
Okay.
sorry. Yeah, we can split that, the social districts. So we'll have 3 different items instead of 2.
Thank you.
Okay,
So I have
is that clear?
Madam Mayor, just for confirmation, are we going to use the motion made by Councilmember Hightower and seconded by Dr. Wells as the motion for I3 as well?
well, if it's going to the 20th, I can leave it to stand, but I thought you were trying to move it out further, or do you wanted to vote separately?
We'll put all 3
But
on the
we-
20th, vote on them separately.
Okay. But
So-
make them 3
So-
separate items.
Are you moving forward with having downtown social district on the 20th? I'm respectfully.
I am in favor of expanding that, but if you and I want to have a
I think it
conversation that,
would behoove us both to have a conversation as the downtown the representative. I'm baffled that this would even be considered without a conversation with the representative for District 3.
okay,
And by the way, the manager of the downtown social district to shove something down when I'm respectfully asking for it to be a conversation. I just want to be able to have a conversation and relay to you my concerns.
so if you want to put that one on December 3rd, January 3rd.
I don't want it on the agenda at all.
Well, let's talk about why you don't want it on the agenda and see if we can come up with agreement on that.
That's fine. Do you want to
So,
do that now or
At
later?
this point, well, no, we have a number of
Okay.
speakers. So we can, if we have to, we can bring it to a work session or whatever. So, all right, let's do this. Angie will do the community heroes at our next meeting.
Right.
And the social district will put on our next meeting, but understanding that it might need to be continued. Okay. Yes,
But what about the social district for downtown?
that
Are you
we're
still-
talking about January.
So we need to postpone that one until a tentative date. So
let-
that motion would be different than the one that's moving things to the 20th.
So
Let me-
can,
Let me
I'm
make
sorry.
a correct, and Chuck might be able to clarify for me. So they won't be 2 separate. So if the social district ordinance is one ordinance, the amendment encompasses any particular maps that are within the social district. So it's just one ordinance. So we'd have to decide on an agreement for one ordinance. You won't be able to separate them out. We don't have 2 separate social district ordinances for one location and another.
right,
I mean, while that's true, you could have 2 separate items on the agenda
right.
addressing different issues. Mayor, I think there probably needs to be a motion to unwind what was done. So
Okay,
there's a vote to that effect,
Yeah.
because not only was it.
so can we make a friendly amendment and will that unwind everything?
I think if you just get vote of council to undo what was done, I think you're fine.
Okay, so we would have a motion to move the community heroes to the next meeting.
Right.
to move the State Street to the next meeting and to move downtown that part to the first meeting in January.
So I can't figure
Well,
out how to
my-
hit my button. Wait, can I say what I think you're saying, Chuck?
Okay.
Is that we need, I will move that we move it to the 20th. But I-3 first needs to be unwound
Right.
from
You
the
had a
two
motion,
and
a
then-
second and a vote.
to
It's going to be a long
unwind
meeting.
the
I'm
two in I-1 and I-3.
Yeah.
I'm
to
just
separate.
suggesting to clear the
Yeah,
record.
I
it's
know,
better
I
to
know.
Undo that.
So do you want me to make that motion
Yes.
to
You
separate?
can make it as one motion to move them all, which
Mm-mm.
is what I tried to do.
But he doesn't want one of those items in 3 moved to the 20th until you.
I
you
said
want-
January 3rd.
So then your motions are, how do I say this? Conflated in that you got a motion that moves all 3 items to the 20th. So now none of them are separated. It looks like all 3 are going to the.
That's
20th.
not what I articulated.
I'd like to try.
So
So,
what we need to do is just separate I-3 into 2
Right.
items.
we did.
And then as we unwind the 2, I make a motion to unwind I-3 into 2 items. Vote on that, and then we can continue social district, State Street to the 20th, continue social district downtown to a tentative date to be determined in January. How does that sound? Does that make sense?
Can I take a shot at this? I move that we rescind our prior vote on these items.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Somebody has to second
I
it.
Mrs.
disagree. with-
Hoffman,
I disagree. I disagree. I
Mrs.
disagree.
Hoffman.
I agree with that.
All right,
You
now
don't
we
need to
start with,
rescind.
now we start with a clean slate.
So then Sharon's gonna say it again.
Do we have a motion to move the community heroes to our next meeting?
So moved.
So moved. I
Second.
moved that
Hightower,
already.
seconded by Mrs. Boozawaiter. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, now we have another motion to move the
I'm
State
sorry.
Street to the next meeting. Do we have a motion for that?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Holston, seconded by Dr. Wells. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Then we have a motion to move, which could be changed, the downtown social district to the January 3rd meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Holston,
Second.
seconded by Mrs. Thurm. All in favor, say aye. Aye. And that passes 8-1.
I'm kind of a no on that one too.
Okay, 7-2. Yeah, I can't, I don't have. Go ahead.
I realize our city academy, you can see we sometimes takes a lot of sausage to make an evening meeting. And I think we've made a lot of sausage this evening, but I wanted to say I have a concern here, and I think it'll take the city attorney, the city manager, and perhaps the public safety director kind of looking into this as well, because what we have is one ordinance of a social district. And now we're creating 2 ordinances basically by having one voted on in December and one voted on in January, unless we're going to make an amendment in January, which I see could possibly be done, but I just wanted to put that out there so it can be discussed in the interim.
So as I understand it, is one ordinance that provides a bunch of stuff, and then there's a definition of a district. And what we're doing is to amending that district definition. And you can amend that once and then, see what I mean? So you could do it as many times as you want as you add districts area to the district.
Okay, item E1 is a resolution honoring the American blues rock artist, guitarist Eric Gales. Whereas Eric Gales started his professional career in 1991 as a blues rock artist guitarist originally from Memphis, Tennessee, but moved to Greensboro, North Carolina in 2012 with many career accomplishments and known all over the world. Whereas Mr. Gales has a music note on the Walk of Fame in Memphis, Tennessee on iconic Beale Street, multiple recognition days celebrating Eric Gales Day awarded to him from the cities of Houston and McKinney, Texas, Memphis, Tennessee, and the country of France for his efforts to try to change the world with his music and story. Whereas Mr. Gales has won the Blues Music Award twice, once for blues rock guitarist and the others for best instrumentalist. Whereas Mr. Gales recently won the Albert King Lifetime Achievement Award in 2022, and as of November 15th, 2022, was nominated for his first Grammy Award for his contemporary blues album entitled Crown. And now therefore be it resolved by the City of Greensboro that on behalf of the citizens of Greensboro, the City Council does hereby publicly recognize and would like to express congratulations to Eric Gales for his outstanding career as an American blues rock artist and guitarist. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by.
So moved.
It was moved by Mayor Pro Tem. We have to do these verbally and by the computer, and seconded by Ms. Abuzawader. Council, please vote.
My name wouldn't come up.
And I believe we do have three people here, Atiba Berkeley, Doug Moharan, and Emily Moharan. If you would like to accept this resolution.
All right. Good to see you. Thank you. You have a few words to say? Okay. Good evening, council members. My name is Doug Moharan. I'm live in District 3, Lake Daniel neighborhood. Some of you know me from being on the board of the Piedmont Blues Preservation Society, or in my other volunteer roles with Arts Greensboro, the Folk Festival, Greensboro Beautiful, or my work on the Healing Blues CD in 2014 that shed light on homelessness and raised funds for the IRC. I'm also a 2012 graduate of City Academy. I'm not here to discuss my accomplishments, but tell you about another's, an extraordinary musician, Eric Gales. I've known Eric since the Piedmont Blues Preservation Society brought him to Greensboro for the 26th annual Carolina Blues Festival in 2012. There, he met his future wife and Greensboro resident, LaDonna. Now, I just have to say that finding love at our blues festival is not uncommon. Some years before, Bob Margolin, who was the guitar player for Muddy Waters Band from 1973 to 1980, met his wife, Pam, at our blues festival, married her, and moved from Boston to the Triad. So after several months of talking long distance and traveling to Greensboro to date, Eric married LaDonna in Center City Park and moved to our great city, just like Bob Margolin did after marrying Pam. Eric provided his story to my wife, Dr. Emily Edwards, in her book, Bars, Blues, and Booze, Stories from the Drink House, published by University Press of Mississippi in 2016. In his story, he talked about growing up in a religious musical household and how his 5 older musical brothers would put on blues and rock and roll when his parents were at church. Eric started playing guitar at 4 years old, played in public with his brother's band at 11, and was signed to a recording contract at 16. From the outside, life seemed great for him until he discussed the bad parts. Eric got involved with drugs. He was caught, arrested, and served time in prison. Eric has worked hard to defeat his demons and is now 6 years sober. In his move to Greensboro and to sobriety, Eric has provided area musicians and the public with free music seminars at local music stores. He provided UNCG students with a talk and demonstration about the creative process in writing music. I've seen him at various music venues sitting in with local musicians. He's done some private events for musicians as well and records his music at Earth Tones Recording Studio here in Greensboro. When Eric fought through his drug addiction and became sober, he said in Bars, Blues, and Booze, "The whole turnaround is way different now. I'm not on probation. I'm not in any trouble. Things have been going good. I got my passport back. I'm about to get a new house. All the old me is out the door, all the way out. Now music is the main priority." And his word is true. After creating 18 of his own albums and performing on 31 others, Eric has won Blues Music Awards 3 years in a row, has won the Just Blues Foundation's Albert King Lifetime Achievement Award, has had his name on a music note placed in the sidewalk in his hometown of Memphis on Beale Street, and now his latest album, Crown, has been nominated for a Grammy Award. The Crown album liner notes state, "His passion for the music and his boundless desire to keep it vital has never waned, even when his own light dimmed due to his substance struggles. 5 years sober, creatively rejuvenated, and sagely insightful, Eric opens up like never before, sharing his struggles with substance abuse, his hopes about a new era of sobriety and unbridled creativity, and his personal reflections on racism. His songs are delivered with clarity and feature Eric's personal experiences and hope for positive change." So we accept this award and honor in Eric Gale's name. We thank the city council so much. And we thank you for your time and happy holidays to you.
And we will have somebody to cheer for with the Emmy Awards. That is very cool.
We're so excited to have a Grammy, nominee from the area. We've had them before, but it's always exciting. Didn't leave me much to disclose about Eric. But one thing I'd like to share is, Eric and LaDonna Gales are really authentic members of a really true musical legacy, and to have them here and for them to be honored by you guys means a lot. And it may even play a role in them choosing to stay here as his stock rises and success happens. So I wanted to thank you. For those that don't know, I'm Atiba Berkeley. I am president of Piedmont Blues Preservation Society and acting executive director. And the relationships that Eric has are really important. A lot of his shows in North Carolina, period, have been here in Greensboro, mostly at the Blind Tiger. And if you ever go to an Eric Gale show, the things that he shares with his spirituality and his fight with addiction and fight with overcoming addiction are really important things for our community members to see from all walks of life as our community faces, that demon and many others. So I think it's really important that we do hold up people that have found fault in their life and found, victory beyond their faults. So thank you guys for doing that.
Item E2 is a resolution adopting the 2023 City of Greensboro Departmental Events and Programs Calendar. Ms. Abuzawader?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Whereas recognition of departmental events and dedicated work is an important component of the City of Greensboro's philosophy. Whereas the purpose of this calendar is to provide awareness of internal programs and special events. Whereas the City Council of the City of Greensboro honors the dedication and commitment of the City of Greensboro staff and therefore recognizes and brings awareness to the following 2023 departmental events and programs. In March, there is Creek Week. This is established in the last week of March to recognize the value of clean, healthy waterways. April,
Wyland National Mayor's Challenge. The Wyland National Mayor's Challenge for Water Conservation was established for the month of April to recognize the importance of clean and healthy water. Second Chance Month. Second Chance Month was established for the month of April to increase awareness about the collateral impact of providing closure to individuals with a criminal record and to recognize opportunities for them. May, Law Enforcement Week. Law Enforcement Week was established the week of May 15th in conjunction with Peace Officers Memorial Week and National Law Enforcement Week to recognize the service and sacrifice of officers killed in the line of duty. Juneteenth. Juneteenth was established to recognize Emancipation Day observances, combining the words June and 19th to commemorate the 2.5 year delayed announcement of the abolishment of slavery in the southern states. June is also Homeownership Month. This was established by the Housing and Neighborhood Development Department to increase public awareness of safe, decent, and affordable homeownership options. July, Parks and Recreation Month, established to recognize the department's integral role in maintaining public health, quality of life, and well-being in Greensboro. September is Hunger Action Month. It was established to raise awareness of public health issues associated with hunger, poverty, and food insecurity. October is Fire Prevention Week. It was established the second week of October by the Greensboro Fire Department to ensure the safety and security of community residents by recognizing the need to check smoke alarms and carbon dioxide indicators. Code Compliance Officers Appreciation Week. This was established the second week of October by the Housing and Neighborhood Development Department to recognize the dedicated professionals responsible for ensuring the safety, health, and welfare of our community. Lead Poisoning Prevention Week, also in October. It was established the last week of October to heighten awareness of toxic lead exposure from paint, soil, and household dust. November, No Straw November. No Straw November was established for the entire month in conjunction with America Recycles Day to bring awareness of environmental pollution harming wildlife and water quality impacts. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Greensboro that the City Council of the City of Greensboro recognizes and observes the 2023 City of Greensboro departmental events and programs.
We have a motion, Mrs. Abuzwaiter.
Yes, yes.
And seconded by Mr. Holston. Council, please vote. Mrs. Hoffman?
Yes.
And that passes 9-0. Item number E3 is a resolution adopting the 2023 City of Greensboro Equity Calendar. Mrs. Abuzwaiter?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Whereas the creation of our annual equity calendar is an integral part of the National Equal Employment Opportunity and Civil Rights Program. Whereas the purpose of our equity calendar is to create an awareness of months, weeks, and days for groups, ethnicities, and cultures to celebrate. These awareness months and days are intended to help raise awareness and understanding for the groups, cultures, or causes in an effort to eliminate discrimination and racism. Whereas as an organization, the City of Greensboro does not tolerate racism. We stand in solidarity with communities around the world combating racism, injustice, and inequality. The city is committed to the eradication of any form of racism in our workplace and community. Whereas we will be part of the solution by addressing the inequities that exist and by recognizing events on this calendar. The city will leverage the knowledge and expertise of staff to develop concrete ways to end systemic racism and create equity in our community. Whereas the City of Greensboro wants to make official its annual recognition of nationally recognized heritage events and celebrations such as, in January, the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday on January 16th, 2023, marks the 27th anniversary of the Day of Service that celebrates the civil rights leader's life and legacy. In February, African American Black History Month. This was established to recognize the contributions of African Americans and to foster a better understanding of the African American experience. National Caregivers Day. It is celebrated on February 17th, 2023, to honor those who give endlessly of their own time and energy to help our loved ones live better lives. March, National Women's History Month. This started as Women's History Week in 1978. In 1987, Congress expanded it to an entire month. It recognizes the important contributions made by women through programs in schools, workplaces, and community. International Women's Day, March 8th, 2023 is International Women's Day. This is the day we celebrate various achievements of women in social, economic, cultural, and political venues. April, National Take Our Daughters and Sons to Work Day. It is recognized on the fourth Thursday in April each year. May, Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. It was originally began as Asian Pacific Heritage Week on July 10th, 1978. In 1992, legislation was developed designating May as Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. Jewish American Heritage Month is a month to celebrate the contributions Jewish Americans have made to America since they first arrived in New Amsterdam in 1654. Older Americans Month was established by a presidential proclamation to honor the contributions of older Americans to society. Also in May, National Military Appreciation Month, which honors past and present military members and their families. June, Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, and Questioning History Month. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and questioning Americans have made important and lasting contributions to our nation in every field of endeavor. Juneteenth celebration is the oldest nationally celebrated commemoration of the ending of slavery in the United States. Dating back to 1865, it was on June 19th that the Union soldiers led by Major General Gordon Granger landed at Galveston, Texas with news that the war had ended and that the enslaved were now free. Caribbean American Heritage Month, also in June. This recognizes the historic relationship between the people of the Caribbean and the people of the United States, as well as to recognize their many contributions they have made to the well-being of America. Also in June, National Diversity Day. Every year, the World Day for Cultural Diversity for Dialogue and Development urges everyone to do their part to bridge the gap between cultures. July, National Disability Independence Day, honors the anniversary of when the ADA Act was passed, July 26, 1990. August, Women's Equality Day, commemorates the passage of the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, granting the right to women to vote. Cultural Exchange Day, August 1st, 2023 is Cultural Exchange Day, a worldwide celebration of the power of international exchange. September and October, Hispanic Heritage Month. This was approved on September 15th, 1968. It gives people the opportunity to plan and participate in ceremonies that recognize the contributions of the many diverse cultures within the Hispanic community. Greensboro Pride, also in September, is an opportunity to celebrate the many ties that people, organizations, and businesses and groups have to the gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, questioning, and allies community. October, National Disability Employment Awareness Month. This was formerly known as National Employ the Handicapped Week. In 2003, the observance was changed to National Disability Employment Awareness Month. Global Diversity Awareness Month aims to promote knowledge and respect for various cultures. Indigenous Peoples Day is a holiday that celebrates and honors Native American peoples and commemorates their histories and cultures. World Mental Health Day promotes mental health awareness and education and advocates against social stigma relating to mental health. November, National American Indian Native American Heritage Month. All Americans are encouraged to participate in programs, ceremonies, and activities that celebrate American Indian and Alaska Native cultures. International Men's Day, where we celebrate positive male role models and to raise awareness of men's issues, which are often overlooked. Transgender Awareness Week is a time for transgender people and their allies to take action and bring attention to the community by educating the public. Transgender Day of Remembrance is an annual observance on November 20th that honors the memory of those whose lives were lost in acts of anti-transgender violence. And in December, the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. This was proclaimed in 1992 by the United Nations General Assembly Resolution 47/3. It aims to promote the rights and well-beings of persons with disabilities in all spheres of society and is celebrated on December 3rd, 2023. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Greensboro that the City of Greensboro 2023 Equity Calendar is hereby adopted on this, the 6th day of December. I would like to move that, Madam Mayor.
Second.
Okay, push your buttons.
I did.
All right.
It's not working.
Council, please vote. Mrs. Hoffman?
Yes.
And that passes 9-0. Item number E4 is recognition of the Greensboro Parks and Recreation Department on receipt of the National Reaccreditation. Nasha?
Yes, good evening, Mayor, members of council. I may be a little bit biased on this item, but it is an honor to speak to the recognition of the Greensboro Parks and Recreation Department's reaccreditation, which they received this past September at their annual conference in Phoenix. For just some background, the department was first accredited in 2006. And so we are one of the 199 accredited departments nationally. And so you think about how many cities, different agencies that exist in the country. And so that's a significant achievement, as well as one of 14 accredited departments in North Carolina. As part of the process, the department achieved full compliance. So there's 154 standards that are required. And the department had 100% compliance of all, which represents the department's ability to apply national best practices, delivering high levels of service for our community. We continue to provide those essential services and those who visit, work, and live and play in our community, and will continue to do so under the leadership of the new Parks and Recreation Director, Phil Fleischman, who's with us this evening. We could not have done that, these accomplishments and achieved these without the support of our community that we serve every day. We obviously could not do that without the support of our city council and our city leadership, our Parks and Rec department team, our Parks and Rec Commission, and most importantly, our many partners. So we appreciate the recognition this evening. Thank you.
Move this item.
Second.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Mr. Holston. Council, please vote. Mrs. Hoffman?
Yes.
And that passes 9-0. Nasha, I want to say that is a huge accomplishment to have 150 some odd things to be graded on, for us to be able to hit all of those. That's amazing. Parks and Recreation has had great leadership, as you have been our Parks and Recreation head, and as Mr. Wilson also started at the city with Parks and Recreation. And I am so pleased to see Phil Fleischman back from his short hiatus somewhere else. We welcome you back as our new head of Parks and Rec. Thank you so much. We look forward to working with you again in the future. All right, item number
Announce the vote. Announce the vote.
that I did, that passed 9-0.
Okay, Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to go back to the resolution that Mr. Boozer read about all of the things that we're doing. I think it would be a great thing if we would send those to all of our elementary and middle school, because we need to let people know what we're doing and what we're celebrating. And so I would move that we do that.
I think staff has direction.
Now I
do
want to
that.
move that we do it.
Okay.
I want a second and a vote.
Second.
So moved.
I'll second.
So moved by Mayor Pro Tem. I did the second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Mrs. Hoffman? Aye. And that passes 9-0. Item number E5 is recognition of our 2022 City Academy graduates. Gary, do you want to kick us off or?
Let's get a ball, baby.
We have a short video to start with.
You look very adventurous.
Good evening, Mayor Vaughn, members of council, city managers, and distinguished guests. My name is Gary Canapino. I'm with the Community Relations Office, and I've had the privilege of overseeing the 17th City Academy. During the last 12 weeks, the participants have visited many different city facilities and participated in experiences that offered insight into the inner workings of the city. Staff from the Community Relations Office are always instrumental in conducting this program, and tonight we have Isabel Gill with us to help. We have Mayor Pro Tem and City Manager Jayoba helping us. At this time, I'd like to ask the City Academy participants to stand for a moment so the cameras can see you. Move to the aisle, closer down here. When I call your name, please come forward. We're going to start with Tom Baker. Ben Ballo. Sheena Beasley. Anthony Berry. Tyler Blaze. Bridget Barucki, Cece Crawford, Fatima Diop, Milton Howell, Kevin Lightsey, Gabrielle Marcaccia, and Mr. Ernest McCoy. And I'm actually going to pause for 1 second because I just want to point out to everybody that's visiting here tonight. Mr. McCoy not only is a graduate of our City Academy, but Mr. McCoy is actually a graduate of the first African-American class of firefighters in Greensboro City history in 1960. And he's very shy. Valerie Powell, Cassie Reed, Jessica Sharp, Christina Singleton, Ashley Smith, and Marcus Thomas. The departments and individuals who participate make City Academy a huge success each year. And again, this year, some stood out from the rest. Isabel?
At the end of the program, participants were given the opportunity to select the favorite learning experience among large departments and favorite learning experience among small departments. Departments engage in friendly competition each year to earn one of the following awards. May I ask Mr. Jayowa to come forward again, please? Weekly service culminated in recognition given for favorite learning experience. Those sessions kept the participant focused and contained valuable information. As I call the department's name, please stand. The winner of favorite learning experience large department, we have a tie between field operations and fire departments. Congratulations. Can I have Chief Robinson and Director Delgado come forward, please? Chief Robinson and Director Delgado. Oh, there. Good job. Thank you. Great job. And we have, okay, we have one more. The winner for favorite learning experience, small department, is human rights. If we have a representative of human rights. Director Jones, could you please come forward and accept the award? Congratulations to all winners. At this time, I would like to introduce Bridget Barucki and Mark Thomas, City Academy participants who will address City Council with some comments representing all the participants of City Academy 2022.
Hi, my name is Bridget Barucki, and I'm speaking on behalf of the 2022 Greensboro City Academy. First, I want to acknowledge my classmates. It has been a privilege to learn with and learn from such a diverse group of fellow students. You're inquisitive, empathetic, and you truly represent this city and everything it has to offer. May we never lose our desire to learn or our belief in the importance and power of civic engagement. Next, I want to acknowledge all of the city employees who graciously took time out of their personal schedules to educate us and candidly answer questions. This academy would not be possible without them, and I would be doing the residents of Greensboro a disservice to not emphasize that they're being served by teams of people who love this city and are striving to serve all of the residents. Special thanks to our class facilitators, Isabel, Gary, and Dawn, who committed to us for 12 weeks. Finally, I would like to thank Finally, I would like to thank the council and the residents of Greensboro for the ongoing support of the City Academy. Oftentimes, there's this refrain in society of, well, somebody should do something. The Academy gives us the opportunity to learn, to share that knowledge with our communities, and show us how we can be involved and better serve the public. We are all someone, and we're all certainly capable of doing something. The City Academy empowers residents not just to believe that sentiment, but to act on it. Thank you.
Good evening. I believe that one way that we see a thriving community is by how engaged its citizens are within the community that they live and work in. And for 17 years, I believe the city of Greensboro has seen just how engaged our community members are. So I want to thank the city of Greensboro, the leadership, city council for your continued support of City Academy. As someone who is not from Greensboro, we have others in our class who may not be born and raised here in Greensboro, this is a great opportunity to learn about not only our city, but our local government and the different functions of our government. So we want to thank you for this, for providing this wonderful opportunity for community members to take place in such a wonderful program for free. And definitely want to continue to advocate for all citizens of Greensboro who have not completed this program to please do so. It's such a wonderful program. You get to meet amazing community members that I've met this year and built relationships with, and look forward to carrying those relationships on, and look forward to our classmates being the next future leaders of this great community. So thank you for this, for making this program possible.
Thank you.
We would like to thank everyone involved with this year's Academy. And we'd like to send a special thanks to the city managers and city council, plus our staff partners, because it's a lot of work for all the departments that do this. It is, and every department does a fantastic job. We would not be able to do this if it wasn't for the interest and the effort that those departments put out. I would also like to thank the City Academy participants. Working with engaged people that have a genuine concern for Greensboro is one of the greatest rewards that we receive in our work. So our challenge to each of you is to take what you have learned in City Academy, go out into the community, share what you have learned, and make a difference. Thanks to all of you. And Mayor Vaughn, members of council, and city managers, thank you for your time this evening.
Mayor,
Yes,
I'd
thank
just like to ask the fire chief. I saw that young lady put out that fire real fast. So you might want to offer her a position with, because we need more women.
You know, I'm not going to miss an opportunity to talk, right? So number 17 class, the most engaged class that we've had. This is a very special group. We appreciate you voting again. You know, Julio and I will arm wrestle a little later. But I just want to say thank you for taking your 12 weeks to come out and do that. And on behalf of all of our city staff, we appreciate the commitment. Thank you for the support, and we will certainly give job applications out.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor knows I always have to speak after the City Academy graduates finish with their program. Congratulations to each and every one of you. I'm a proud 2008 graduate of the Greensboro City Academy. And I can tell you, I had done things before, been on a board and commission, but I learned so much from that group. I think over the years, it's gotten to be a little bit more fun than mine was. However, I don't recall that we got to do a lot of fun things, but there were a lot of fun things as well. We did the recycle. I'm probably the first one that almost got kicked out of the academy because I jumped into the recycle can when somebody threw something wrong in there. So we told that story. You could ask Donna Gray, she was there. But you know, I want to encourage each and every one of you to get involved with your community, and please sign up to be on a board or commission. We really need your talent. We want you to put your names in and applications. We are looking for a lot of people who will be not only contributing members of our community, but look, you can be a leader as well. So thank you all so much and congratulations.
Okay, we will now move to our speakers from the floor, public comment period. Each speaker will be allowed up to 3 minutes.
So Madam Mayor, let me ask you, is this thing not working?
It is, but you're not on it.
Yeah, then I pressed it. I got Mary Kay's time, but
Yeah, Mrs. Hightower?
well, they've gone now, so it's okay.
Well, you can tell. Now is time for our public comment portion. Each speaker will be allowed up to 3 minutes. We do have 3 speakers who are on Zoom. Addie Carson, Anthony Young, and Dr. Angel Ahmad. Addie Carson. Is Addie on the line? How about Anthony Young?
Madam Mayor, they both attend.
Mr. Young?
Yes. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, could you put your camera on?
I hate to tell you this, but I don't know how to put the camera on.
Okay, well,
I can't-
if you would give us your comments, you have up to 3 minutes.
Sure. First of all, my name is Anthony Young. I reside at 4202 Lord Jeff Drive in Greensboro. And my concern is the paratransit increase is due to take place January 1 of next year. I'd like the council to think about that increase because a lot of us are on fixed income, disabled and elderly cannot afford that increase at this time. And I would just like the council to know that and to really think about reconsidering that motion. Thank you very much for your time this evening.
Thank you. Dr. Ahmad?
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council members. Congratulations to the City Academy graduates. I'm also a graduate. I graduated in 2006. It's a wonderful program. Tonight, I'd also like to speak on the paratransit increase. This year in 2022, we received a 50 cents increase, and the paratransit riders were the only ones to had an increase in their fares. And so to turn around in 2023 to sock us with another 50 cent increase seems a little bit unfair and works in hardship on our ridership. When the decision for the fare increase was made, the economic conditions were very different. However, everyone's suffering under inflation and higher prices. And so the suggestion has been made to have an increase, but only 25% at 25 cents per trip versus 50 cents per trip. Because if you go out, you have to come home. And so it's really not 50 cents, it's $1. So it really does impact our ridership in a very deep way. I hope that you will give this a reconsideration And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Addie Carson. I believe we also have a Tanya Amiel for paratransit. Tanya?
Yes. Yes, good evening, everyone. I am calling to speak about the paratransit increase as well. Basically, just to piggyback on what everybody else said, everybody knows what the inflation is like. Prices of food has gone up. Rent has gone up. Those of us that are on fixed income on disability, we are getting a cost of living increase, yes, but it is nowhere near enough to cover everything that needs to be covered just to live comfortably. Prices of groceries, it's just ridiculous. You can't get what you used to get last year. Please reconsider not putting an increase in for next year. 25 cents is even too much for some of us at this point. Thank you so much for your time and your consideration.
Thank you. We did have an in-person speaker signed up, Sheba Dawood. She in the chamber? Okay. Our next three speakers will be Dave Coker, Tinka Warren, and Larry Wallace, Larry and Wenda Wallace.
Over the last few years, and especially during this last budget cycle. I also want to recognize that there were no additional healthcare costs shifted to employees this year. That's also something that we greatly appreciate. The decisions you make have real-time, everyday impacts on city employees and our families. So thank you for those investments. But I want to speak to you tonight about an issue that is causing a great deal of anxiety and concern for a considerable number of city employees across the organization. The scheduled shift to a bi-weekly pay model in January represents a step back in employee compensation. I know it probably seems a relatively innocuous change going from 24 to 26 paychecks. It's also easy to assume that getting paid 1 to 2 days sooner is a net positive, but the devil is in the details here. And the detail that is significant is that when bi-weekly pay is implemented for 10 months out of the year, the monthly income of all city employees will drop by 8%. Let me say that again. The income of city employees for 10 months will drop by 8%. Now, it is true that our annual salaries will remain the same, but most of us, probably yourselves as well, create our family's budget based on our monthly income. And our monthly income, again, is dropping by 8%. Unfortunately, the cost of living is not dropping by 8%. The rent or the mortgage is not dropped. Groceries, childcare, car payments, fuel and heating costs, none of this has dropped by 8%. Our bi-monthly pay system that we're on now has worked for at least 3 decades. The system was not broken, but here we are making a shift that will have a significant negative financial impact on employees and our families. This is basically a pay cut for city employees for most of the year. What's worse is that this change will disproportionately impact city employees in lower paid jobs and junior personnel starting out their careers, many of which have young families. But there is a fix. We are asking you to direct the manager to maintain the current bi-monthly pay system. If there is not support for that, the next remedy is to move the scheduled May 2023 4% raise to January to lessen the impact on employees and their families. In closing, again, thank you for those investments. You've already made in employees. I want to urge you to continue to invest in city employees and take action on this. Stop biweekly pay or move that 4% from May to January to lessen that impact on employees and our families. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, thanks for having me tonight. My name is Tanika Warren. I'm here because I had my house demolition in 2017. There was a demolition order for 922 Lincoln Street. And a HUD mediation agreement was signed in 2019 for $5 million, but I never did get it. And there were some false statements that violate the RICO Act that the HUD investigator put on there, although he had my background check to know where my whereabouts, where I have lived at during 2003 to 2015, which would have been Atlanta. And then from 2015 to 2017 in my childhood home. Now, I have the claim for temporary relocation expenses. I was the one who researched the law and found that many citizens of the United States should have been getting paid under the Relocation Act. Now it is available on the website for HUD after I spoke to the HUD attorneys, but I still haven't been compensated, but more so human traffic throughout the whole incident and having to live on Myrtle Beach and downtown Columbia outside and still haven't gotten the assistance that I need. So I'm here today to ask for the board to vote on me getting that mediation agreement settlement for me and my daughter, who is an ovarian cancer patient. We should have been accommodated in 24 hours, May 17, 2017. She's now 21 and still a cancer patient, and we have not been accommodated. And in fact, they've alienated me against, I haven't seen her since 2019. They took and put me in a mental institution saying I don't have a bachelor's degree, that I never owned a home. I've been through pure chaos. They took her at 17 and a half and said that her mom does meth. So I had to go to the emergency room and to get a meth test done. And the doctor said, when you walked in here, I knew you did not do drugs, all because of the demolition of 922 Lincoln Street. They said I had family issues and housing issues because of the demolition of 922 Lincoln Street and tried to mark me off as crazy in Atlanta. So I've been having to stay outside ever since. And my daughter, I don't know where she is in Atlanta right now. But we need our accommodations. We really do. And I have the relocation.
Yeah, we have the papers.
Those papers should have been signed. I took it to the federal court. He said, do not take it out the school budget, which has been some fun games here in the city of Greensboro for me because I was a high school dropout who had moved to Atlanta and got a bachelor's degree for diplomas and an associate's degree and a nail tech license. So now I've been ripped of not only the house, but every bit of my assets.
Thank you.
I would advise that you contact your national representative, Kathy Manning, or because HUD, that's a federal program. And they would have more ability to see that through than we don't have that ability.
Yes, Marby's Handy did sign a contract and meet with the city manager at the time, Mr. Westmoreland, but he retired.
Yeah.
And I then got OSHA involved. OSHA gave me an OSHA letter and said that I should have been accommodated and I should have at least been given a Section 8 voucher. I have that OSHA letter here with me today on my laptop, and it's available online on my website at about glam tanikasakowwarren.webador.com. And I filled out the SEC form for whistleblower complaint because I do qualify as a whistleblower because I did work for DeKalb County Juvenile Center and for the mayor of Columbia campaign.
Okay.
I know that,
Okay.
Yeah,
Mayor Pro Tem was just giving you another avenue of where you could reach out.
Yes, but I've exhausted that.
Thank
I've had to file a RICO charge on Maurice Handy of Hood
Right.
because he is not doing his job. No, I'm getting the runarounds everywhere I go, including tonight. So
Okay.
that's why I had to come to the commission and ask, I need ERAP money. I can't get ERAP money. I'm owed $1,850 in food stamps.
So did I hear?
They're blocking jobs.
So did I hear you say you're still homeless?
Yes, they're forcing me into homelessness.
But
And
you've not been housed since 2017?
Maurice came to my apartment in Atlanta after I had recovered. He was supposed to give me the relocation money. He came to my Atlanta apartment from Columbia, South Carolina, and signed that $5 million mediation agreement. My daughter's supposed to get
Right.
2.5 million and I was supposed to get 2.5 million, but we
Okay.
didn't get our money.
Yeah. I just was curious to know about that. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, certainly we could look into seeing if there's some way to help you get housed, but
Mhm.
federal money has to come from the.
Okay,
federal
but we need to
government.
do something in the here and the now. I need a hotel accommodation. I need, because I can't get the ERAP money. I can't get anything, and I'm not even getting placed in a shelter.
Well, we have some housing resources in the city that.
I've tried tiny homes. I've tried every avenue it is. And I've emailed everyone over 1 million times. I am not getting any help. I am being discriminated against. And I really need the help that I need because what we're doing now, I have a human trafficking number.
Yeah.
I have a human trafficking number and I need to be helped from,
Reach out
I need to be
Thank you.
saved
Thank
from human trafficking now because all the government employees are human trafficking me.
Thank
And I
you.
need the help.
Our next speakers are Larry and Wendy Wallace, followed by Randy Locklear, followed by Atiba Berkeley.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Both myself and my wife Wendy, who will be your next speaker, wish to thank you for your service to our city. Many who take a job like you have do it with the idea that you will be of great assistance or help to the community that you're serving. And I think a lot of folks who come into your job don't have any idea just how difficult this is going to be. And with all the diverse opinions that always come forth. And I think you are well aware of that. In truth, however, we know we are here in this city and on this planet for a very short period of time. We are continually moving other people toward leadership positions for the next generation. This was done for many of us, and it by passing on to our knowledge and experience as much as possible. Now, the reason that we're here today is we read a book by an Ithaca real estate developer, Mac Travis. It is a story about how he and the city, it's a substantial book, published by Cornell. It is a story of how the city and council and the city manager work together for the benefit of the community. Wendy and Wendy's going to tell you more about this book. Wendy is your next speaker, and she's a multi-talented individual. I know because we've been married for 48 years. One talent is as an artist, a painter. She has done several community projects that many of you are not young enough to know about in the city in the 80s, in the early 80s, actually. One was a mural on a downtown West Washington Street wall on the corner of Elm and Springard and West Washington Street, depicting a Greensboro historical scene from 1870, 1890. Another of her works and her projects was a Paint the Town project with Window Works, when so many of our Elm Street stores were empty. She recruited other artists to help her paint scenes on the panels inside the windows. And my time is up. And here's Wendy.
I'll try to talk faster. We are excited about all you're doing in the city with inviting or helping other companies get here and the growth that's going to take place in the near future. This huge interstate that's now, if you had anything to do with that, was encircling Greensboro is just amazing. I'm so pleased with the growth that our city is doing. And I started thinking, what do I know that could help you? Well, as you plan for your terrific future that's coming up, this book may hold some insights that could be helpful in what we're doing here in Greensboro. Cornell University has a program of exceptional property management, exceptional real estate development. It's called PRE, and property and real estate, that's it, development. And this book is used in that graduate program there at Cornell. It's in Ithaca, New York. And my brother, who is from Ithaca and a real estate developer there, says that when you have even in a small town, the truism is that real estate is always local. So what you're doing here, it's local. It's what we're doing for everyone. And this book has some insights that you might find very useful in the growth that's taking place here. Now, since he is my brother, you have a caveat because he is willing to come speak if you ever need a speaker that would shed more light on this. And of course, he has a free place to stay. So Merry Christmas. This book is from Larry and Wendy Wallace to each one of you. We do have some copies over at that desk in a box. There are 9 of them. So I think there's enough for everybody tonight. And if you need another or 2, please call. We'll take care of it.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you.
Thank you.
So Merry Christmas.
Same
Thank
to
you. Yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you. Nice to meet you.
Yes, our next speaker is Randy Locklear and then followed by Atiba Berkeley.
Hello, Mayor Vaughn and City Council. But this systemic racism stops. This is going down the hill. It's too late or anything else. And we'll discuss everything else later, but the compounds, money, and everyone who signed the ledgers, all the ledgers are there. So y'all better prepare yourself, and Merry Christmas and have a nice day.
Hi, everyone. My name is Atiba Berkeley. I am the acting executive director and president of Piedmont Blues Preservation Society. And happy holidays. I come bringing holiday tidings from Piedmont Blues Preservation Society. We would like to invite all of you to join us next week for our annual toy drive and fundraiser. It'll be happening at the Ram Cat in Winston-Salem. As a Guilford County and Greensboro-based nonprofit, we have a 150-mile service radius around Greensboro. So a lot of the work we do goes to other communities as well as here in Greensboro. And this event is very special. Each year we raise toys and funds. And those toys go to His Laboring Few Ministries, take them to the Thomasville community. They request new toys so that they can help parents that are less fortunate give their kids toys and do it with self-respect by allowing their children to unwrap toys from them. We'll be having an event from 5 to 7 in the upstairs bar called Gas Hill at the Ramcat facility. And then from 8 until they finish, we'll have the wonderful bands Tab Benoit and Dirty Dozen Brass Band, 2 New Orleans bands coming to the Carolinas to help us celebrate the holiday season. So we'd like to invite you all to join us next Tuesday evening in Winston-Salem. It's going to be a lot of fun. I also would like to give you guys a heads up. I will be back in the future to talk more about work that we'd like to do, including North Carolina Blues Week and seeking funding for the Carolina Blues Festival. And because I wear so many hats, I would also like to thank you on behalf of the Juneteenth Executive Committee, to whom you guys graciously granted funding. I help with logistics and one of the leaders in that group. And those funds are going to go a long way to help us keep celebrating Black culture in this community through the Juneteenth holiday. So thank you very much to all of you.
Thank you so much.
I'm sorry. I had a thumb drive. I didn't know the new rules. You know me from past city council meetings. I would imagine a number of you on the panel know why I'm here already. I'm to talk about safety issue that another city council in 1999 made a mistake. They made a big mistake, and it's up to you folks to find a remedy to the safety situation that we have in the neighborhood around the building shown on this 2 tax maps. It's an overhead view of the parking lot and the building at 2800 Westgate City Boulevard. The reason it's 2 pictures is because 2 lots were utilized for this structure. It was on this end, it was a bank. On the other end, it was a service station. Now there is a big 2-story restaurant with outdoor dining patio and 2 small businesses on this parking lot end. They don't have enough parking. They've never had enough parking, and that causes problems for my neighborhood. This is the zoning map. In the pink is the property we're talking about. In the yellow is the area most severely affected by overflow parking at various and sundry times, and we generally don't even know when it's going to happen. We did know when the place first opened that it would happen during Super Jam, and it has most recently happened during A&T Homecoming. This for your view. This is the map of police responses that happened between October 28th and October 31st in my area. There were more than 29 responses. And at the end of my street, Westcourt, there was a severe accident that didn't show up in the reports that I have. Your presentation material that I brought with me this evening has everything that I've shown you here and more. It has images that I took all around my neighborhood to show you tonight of just how bad the situation can be when we have such an event. It's been 22 years. And I've spoken to you multiple times about the problem. And in 3 minutes, it's hard to show. On the AV, I could have shown you the pictures, but you've got them in the presentation package. You've got the crime reports.
Thank you. Mary Ann Contaginis, followed by Elizabeth Contaginis, followed by John Hill. How, whatever order you want.
Yes.
Are we ready? Go ahead. Madam Mayor and council members, thank you for your support on this North Eugene Street closure project that you've seen some local merchants endure over the last 10 years, had total road closure multiple times. We're currently in week 6 of a 3rd round of road closure. Most of you know 5 years ago, we went 92 days with a road closure. So I kind of want to summarize the 300 and 400 blocks of North Eugene Street. The first 3 weeks, we were in total closure. After the first 3 weeks, we got limited access to our parking lots. So the public was under the impression there was no passage, and there wasn't. The month of November, there were 30 calendar days. The crew was only there 17 work days. We asked a person at each end of the project to help direct traffic and to help alert people that businesses were open. We were denied that. I even offered to help pay for that. Chris Spencer will tell you, I put some numbers out there that I was willing to contribute. And we were told it wasn't a possibility, that it just wasn't doable. Most of our customers coming in either feel like we're closed, or they really believe the city is paying us money because of the hardship that's being created. And sad to say, neither of those is true. We're open and we're not getting any compensation. We've had visit. I've offered the city attorney who's here tonight to come down. He brought another attorney, and in his opinion, we were accessible and open as normal and considered the construction project to be routine work. And I think we all got to be real about it. Closing the road 3 times in 10 years is not routine work. It is really a concern and disparity when you see our end of the road being the north end take forever. And just last Friday, the flagman we asked for was allowed at the Bellmead end. They got that project done in less than 24 hours. They were in and they were out. They had the flagman. They never closed that end of the road. And to the date, that end of the project has never been at all closed. They've had access to the Hyatt Place parking and the apartments of the Carroll properties there. So for our end of the street, there's quite a disparity, and you wonder, what do we need to do to get the equal treatment of the other end? How does it become so biased? And I realize there are only really 2 to 3 merchants in there that are impacted in the same way we are. But we I come in through the urban loop every morning, coming through the orchard, and I see them out there tonight. When I go home, they'll be working. When I get in at 6 in the morning coming through, they're out there working. And the budget is limiting these crews from getting the expedited job done. They're doing it at a very lengthy pace, and it's strictly because of limitations on funding. So council can only help make those budgets work to where they can get them quicker done.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mary Ann Contaginis, and Mayor and City Council. We appreciate you giving us the opportunity to talk. But the bad news is we're standing here in front of you again because the city of Greensboro and our city council has reneged on their word. When we stood before you last time, we were told that the road in front of our business at our front door would not get closed again. And here we are, it is. Okay. And again, that's 3 times in 10 years, as Mr. Hill said, 3 times in 10 years. And I echo what Mr. Hill said about the expedited process in dealing with the sewer renovation in front of the Hyatt Hotel versus our businesses, the Acropolis Restaurant and Select Cycles. Not only have we had a loss of business and customers, but our suppliers can't even deliver food supplies easily to our restaurant directly. They have to park on Battleground and come around the block with hand trucks. Some of them don't even want to deliver anymore to us. And I know Select Cycles is also having difficulty with delivery of their goods. And again, I echo the comments about the city attorney saying we have full access and that this type of closure is normal and necessary. I have to ask you, how many other businesses have had the road closed in front of their door with any of these renovations around Greensboro? Of course, the answer is 0. I go up and down Elm Street all the time, and there's always been at least 1 lane open, even during that major renovation throughout the whole time. I've included an email for y'all that shows a copy of Google Maps. And I challenge each of you to do this after we finish the meeting here. You cannot go directly from this building to the Acropolis Restaurant or Select Cycles, which is a straight shot down Eugene Street. Okay. And it's marked red on all these map directories. And not only that, when I came to the meeting tonight, I came up from Belmead from Elm Street because that's how I had to come. And of course it was open in front of the Hyatt Hotel for access, but it said road closed further down, which is right in front of the Acropolis Restaurant. As John said, we need to be treated equally. Now, over the 10 years, I have to ask you how the business around us suffered. Well, the Carroll Company's got a road closure of Lindsay Street from Battleground to Lindsay. And actually, I believe ownership of that property while the hotel exists. The ballpark got closure and ownership of Lindsay from Eugene Street to Edgeworth to be built. Joymonger's got Battleground closed leading out of downtown so that everybody going that way has to zigzag to get home from Battleground. And of course, they have Lo-Fi Park for their customers to enjoy their beer. What did we get? Not even 0. We're at a negative balance. We have lost revenue, business, customers, and parking. And we ask the city to never, ever do this again to our businesses. And looking ahead, we want to propose that the city give a grant of $100,000 to both of our businesses and match up to $100,000 for us to improve our facade and businesses. It does not even touch the income that we have lost over all this time. And every project does include a beautification clause for the area as it's completed. And we would like for you to consider doing that for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Elizabeth Contaginis, followed by Samuel Petaway, followed by Paulette Montgomery.
Hi, my name's Elizabeth Contaginis, and I'm here to speak on the behalf of the Acropolis and Select Cycles. As previously stated, we too have never gained anything but hardship and loss in revenue from the city 3 times. Now, we understand that there are future projects that are going to go on Eugene Street. Similarly, when Mr. Carroll did the Hyatt, we had to have cranes in the middle of the street, causing the streets to close. Now he's got the other hotel on the corner of Friendly and Eugene. Are the cranes going to be back in the middle of the road so that they have to be closed again? Now, as previously stated by Mary Ann, people they have gotten something back, okay? And in the meantime, we have been the only ones suffering. There's just something that's not fair. We had been told by the council again that we would not be closed again. So now, since the construction isn't finished on Eugene Street, are we going to be closed again and have to suffer again for other people's gains? And we're not talking, that is a main artery going in and out of Greensboro. From all of the streets that are being done around the city to come into the city. So, I mean, what is going on? I mean, if someone wants to go ahead and build, we're all for making the city better, but it shouldn't be at our expense every single time. And John and the Acropolis have been the ones that have been suffering and not had any gain from everything that's been done on our 2 blocks of Eugene Street. And as I said, Mr. Carroll's new project is going to put a hindrance on that street unless they go ahead and find a way so that he can have his equipment off of the street when he's not using it. He has parking lots. He can put them in the parking lots and take them out when he needs them, but it's not right for us to be penalized. And we would like to go ahead and work with DGI to do renderings for the facade to go with the streetscapes. And we would also like to have you consider us having X number of dollars and then matching those dollars as previously said by my sister Mary Ann. We are just asking to have fair and equal treatment here, that we don't have to suffer again. Okay? And by the way, in front of the restaurant, there was a plaque that had my mother, before my nephew was born, had put my father's initials, her initials, mine, my brothers, my 2 sisters, my 2 nieces. And before my nephew was born, she had put his initials. And they tore that one piece out of the sidewalk. And that was just something that was a little bit emotional too. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Matheny? You read it? Preferably not, but if it's short.
You know, this is something that was brought up when this started. The folks do have a point. And they know this. I disagree with some of the bias comments that were made. But I support them in this because they're right. It's the 3rd time in 9 years. So I think that there is some legitimate concern over how the planning of Church Street has taken place. And for that section from Belmead north to Smith Street to experience this is really unprecedented. So, Mr. Manager, I would appreciate if you would have somebody really talk to these folks with genuine concern and care, because it is unprecedented throughout the city of Greensboro. This happens to be downtown, but it's unprecedented through the city. So my hope would be that you would have somebody work with the business owners here going forward.
Mrs. Hightower?
So, Zach, before you got back on, we had this conversation with them twice. I want to know what has happened since then, because we did promise them we wouldn't cut them off like this. I know Mr. Hill, worked with him for years. But what did you all do? I mean, why are we back here again? Because they are a small business and we shouldn't have been treating them this way. So that's a concern for me. What happened?
We'll be
Because
happy to
that,
provide.
we already asked that, we already asked them to work with them, and I don't know why we're back here today with this.
We'll be happy to provide council with an update, Councilperson Hightower. I would respectfully disagree about the communication. I believe we did communicate prior to the project and we made ourselves available during the project. I understand it's been a hardship, but we'll be happy to provide an update on the project, which should be complete. We have lost some days to rain, but at the latest next week, this project should be complete in this portion.
Do we know when the end is near? I mean, when is it?
Yes,
How many days?
we would have been done by the end of this week. We lost another day to rain today. So we'll be done next week with this portion of the project. Streetscape would start back in the spring, but one lane of traffic will be open during the streetscape project.
And will it be closure again when the streetscape?
One lane of
So-
traffic will be open during the streetscape project.
Okay, because we did promise them we're doing the streetscape.
I understand. Again, I'd be happy to provide an update. I
If you
provided an update to council prior to the project in our meeting. But I'd be happy to provide an update to this point. Our goal is to get out quickly too, because we do not want to hinder the businesses.
Right, okay, thank you, I appreciate it.
Mr. Holston?
I'll be very brief. I had the very same questions as Councilmember Matheny and Hightower. Just hoping that, and it sounds like from Deputy Wilson, it sounds like they are going there, but we have a proactive approach when it comes to these types of activities. whether it's on this location, doesn't really matter where it is in the city, but if we're closing any street, that communication, notice, outreach, engagement. And it sounds like from your conversation that that's been happening, and as long as we have a plan in place, then we're good.
Again, I'll be happy to provide that update, but I would actually say in this case, we assigned more people to the project, knowing the sensitivity and making ourselves available. So we were fortunate to have a liaison from DGI that assisted us. We had Josh Sherrick, who you all are familiar with from our events management. We had 2 engineers and then a foreman with the project who were all made available.
Thank you.
Thank you. Samuel Petaway, followed by Paulette Montgomery, followed by Bill Marshburn.
Hello, I'm Sam Petaway with Ardmore Park Community Watch. Here to ask to identify a problem and ask for your help. We, along this area mostly is made up of Cade City Boulevard from the Coliseum down to the Four Seasons Mall. In this area, we have hosted many venues, all large and small in this area for the last several years. And traffic and pedestrians have moved in and out of these venues, Coliseum and the Four Seasons Mall, without any problem, with 2 exceptions. And it's primarily been Super Jam and A&T Homecoming. During these times, it doesn't appear that the problems are in the Coliseum or on the A&T campus, but the pop-up parties that occur around town, and a lot of those are on Gate City Boulevard in the Coliseum area and down to the Four Seasons Mall. And the road is completely blocked with traffic, completely blocked with pedestrians. It feeds over into people's parking lots, into their businesses. And we have a survey, which I believe Laura gave you a copy of, where the businesses and the residents in the area are complaining about their property damage, people trespassing on their property, vehicle damage, trashing their property, trespass, drugs being used, and alcohol in the area. Laura showed you a map of some of the police incidents that occurred during this time period, 28th through the 30th of October. This is an ongoing problem. It's been going on for years. It's my understanding the police department typically will dedicate about 350 of the 700 officers to deal with this event. You can check with the police department, they have data. And they will spend about $50,000 in city resources with these events. That's taxpayer money that's being wasted. My suggestion is that the city work with A&T, for example, or any of these other vendors, and make available the city parks, the high school stadiums, other venues like that, and move these parties off the streets into these other locations. Let promoters sell tickets, bring in food trucks, bring in bands, bring in merchandisers, and put this in a controlled environment and bring in their own security, not use police department personnel, not spend police resources. Let this become a revenue stream toward the city instead of an expense. You can turn this into a money-making event and get it off the streets and into controlled environments. The city already has an ordinance that deals with this. And this is a copy of it right here, special events, 26-246. The city also has a letter of intent that these vendors are not aware of, and I made them aware of it. They can go to the city website, print off this letter of intent, sign it, and the police can act in their stead and run trespassers off the property. And if they don't leave, they can.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mrs. Hightower?
So let me just say this, and I heard 2 names mentioned, one of them being A&T's Homecoming. So there's a lot of events that happen during A&T's Homecoming, but they are not sanctioned by A&T. So A&T does not have the responsibility to, control those parties. The homecoming that does come brings a lot of revenue to the city. So the 50,000 we spend is probably a drop in the bucket of what we make here in the city during that particular time. But I think the events that do occur sometimes are events that are privately, operated. And so the community within itself is having their own parties. It really kind of bothers me when A&T feels like they're just the victim of something that sometimes happens and people are taking advantage because there are other events that happen in this city that also people do as well. Super Jam has not happened in years. But because they don't do it anymore. It was happening years ago. And the Coliseum does try to maintain control of the traffic and people that come to those events over there. But sometimes some things are just out of our control. We do know the troubles that have been had over there. We do empathize with some of the businesses. Certainly if there's letters of intent to ensure that people don't trespass on their properties, that's probably the best way to go. But I don't know if A&T would be able to take all those parties and take them to their campus. So I just want to be clear about that because I hear that. We're all excited when they're here and homecoming is here and every hotel room is $800. But then the trouble that some people have a little bit, then it becomes negative. And I think we just have to find a way to work. It is problematic with some things. I don't dismiss any of your concerns, but I just don't want us to, as always, feel like A&T has to control some of that. So, so I just I wanted to speak to that. So, thank you.
Hi, my name is Paulette Montgomery, and I have to say I was very excited and hopeful for the homelessness task force meeting last week. We need solid solutions, not aggression or fighting, just solutions. I went to the park beforehand to speak to some unhoused folks and asked what they may want me to ask or find out about. Their number one concern, of course, was housing. At that task force, when a community member wanted to ask a question, she was told no. Only the members of the task force could speak and no one could answer questions. It's a real shame our unhoused community has no say in what goes on in their lives. I do have to say Eric Sullivan out of Tulsa had some fantastic ideas to get our unhoused folks into home ownership on a 2-year program. I was excited, but then let down. I sat there thinking about how wonderful these proven programs are. Then knowing our leaders and how you guys work, you aren't going to put that kind of money into our unhoused population. Vouchers, subsidies. It would be less money for the developers, especially Roy, who seems to pull the strings in this town, by the way. Per Zach Matheny, they have been on the streets for 10 to 20 years. Our city has wasted more money on temporary fixes over this time when we could have housed our unhoused population 2 times over with the money that has been spent. Why not build a community of 200 square foot tiny homes with that 8 million sitting in the bank, surrounded by a 12-foot concrete wall that we can paint and have local artists come in and make it beautiful. It's gated, it's closed off. But the real turning point for me at the task force meeting was when we have someone from our city teaching our city leaders how to speak to the houseless with empathy. Really, it's of my opinion that our city leaders should already know how to speak to people with empathy. Don't all politicians turn on the charm and empathy and sympathy when they're campaigning? Why do you have to be taught how to speak with people that are going through a hardship? Then when new vernacular for the word homeless was brought up by Chuck Watts, he said he really didn't have an opinion about it. I'm sorry, anyone on any type of task force should have an opinion or do a quick Google search on why the vernacular is changing. So I guess I was wrong and the empathy training is really needed. I do want to invite the entire council, if you will, to come to the park with me one day, meet these people, meet Chapel Hill, a cool guy, but on the streets a long time and needs some guidance. Or Michelle, mother to Sarah, who when I met her was 8 days old, now going on 3 months old. Or meet one of the 2 Keiths we have down there, both employed, but can't afford housing, unfortunately. These are people with real feelings and real issues that need to be seen and heard. I'm not sure if you're aware or not, but once you're out on the streets for 4 to 5 months, your physiology changes. You go into survival mode and you start believing that nothing is going to work out for you. All you can do is spend your energy on surviving when you're out on the streets. But we all know some of these folks will never leave the park, no matter what you do. It's now their home. And unfortunately, part of the blame for that is directly on you guys for doing nothing for our unhoused community for decades. Thank you.
Bill Marchburn, followed
So-
by Del Stone, followed by Louis Medina. Yes, Mrs.
Madam
Hightower?
Mayor, I have signed up because I want to address, before we move, I just want the public to understand. we who are on the homeless task force are doing the work of understanding homelessness totally. Okay, it is not just a quick fix. If it was, it would have been fixed already. And so what our goal is to learn what is happening. There are fixes and solutions around this country, and we are wanting not to reinvent the wheel, but to find those sustainable solutions. And so these homeless task force are not for people to come in and just beat people up over the head, but it's for all of us to learn. We're learning from other areas. We're learning what's being done in other spaces. Yes, we had someone who talked to us about communication. She was a social worker who is skilled and licensed and certified and experienced about how it is that these things should be approached. So I think what we're doing is good work on the homeless task force. It is a culmination of people who care, and we care enough to meet 2 times a month to ensure that we're learning things that we didn't know before. And it's been very beneficial. I would say to anyone who wants to listen and look at that. But you elected us to make decisions, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make decisions for all, but the best decisions there are. And so what Mr. Watt had to say was simply, when we talk about how we've heard from people who don't call them homeless, but the houseless, there's just things we're learning in different vernaculars. So I think the work we're doing is good work, and I think it will have great outcomes. We know we have to spend money, but we have to make sure that we are doing the responsible thing in the best way possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Marshburn?
Bill Marshburn, 4693 Long Valley Road. The greatest hoax ever perpetrated on an unsuspecting public. Quotation, Dr. Roger Hodgkinson, one of Canada's top pathologists and an expert in virology. Early on, he said this of COVID-19. He and other doctors all over the world were threatened with loss of medical license if they did not follow CDC's protocols. Your personal doctor could have no say in treatment if you were admitted into hospital. Your family could not watch over you, no admittance. Some families were able to get court orders in time. Mandates were enacted, federal, state, and local, as you will recall. The economy collapses, and it continues. If you were hospitalized, obtain and save all your records and/or your departed's records. If you took the injections, get the lot number. Litigation will take years, decades. How do the parties involved expect to escape? Something far worse will come about fairly soon that will put people and even right-acting government action in the matter of justice to a standstill. Still, any district attorney can bring a criminal suit against the perpetrators. Remember Jim Garrison, District Attorney of New Orleans, 1969. Some of the high-level perpetrators, Fauci et al., Pfizer, Moderna, the others, University of Chapel Hill, CDC, NIH, Obama, Biden, and Trump administrations, U.S. military, U.S. Army, CIA, FBI. For the above mentioned top tier and down to the local, the charge, crimes against humanity and all the criminal actions underlying these. 2 books, one I don't have with me, The Real Anthony Fauci by RFK Jr., easily obtainable. And this may be the most important, Resisting Medical Tyranny by Professor Francis A. Boyle, Why the COVID-19 Mandates Are Criminal. And If you don't know, Professor Francis A. Boyle is the author of the United States implementing legislation for the 1972 Biological Weapons Convention.
Thank you. Del Stone, followed by Louis Medina, followed by Billy Belcher.
Oh, do we have a General Green Day?
Good evening, I'm Del Stone with WOA. So on October 3rd, this council passed several changes to city ordinances, including ordinance section 16-10, which is about leaving items in the public right of way relating to unattended property. This made it illegal to leave any objects in public spaces. This was in response to a push that has coincided with Zach Matheny's recent reinstallment on this council. It's part of a clear agenda to regulate downtown in line with the interests of a corporation called Downtown Greensboro Incorporated, over which Matheny presides as president and CEO. This is a clear conflict of interest. Signs have gone up all around Center City Park stating that unattended items will be removed from property. People who are homeless, by definition, have no home in which to store their items. This is a direct attack on homeless people simply for being homeless. It remains unclear whether council and the city attorney considered how this ordinance could violate multiple amendments in the US Bill of Rights. Firstly, the Fourth Amendment, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. By confiscating and disposing of people's personal effects, the city appears to be in violation of this constitutional right. This has been affirmed by case law. The Ninth Circuit United States Court of Appeals held in Lavon versus City of Los Angeles in 2012 that the Fourth Amendment's prohibition against unreasonable searches and seizures is violated by taking belongings of homeless people and destroying them. The Fourth Amendment, to be clear, guards against the summary seizure and destruction of unabandoned personal property belonging to homeless persons. So we also see that the city has set the punishment for leaving an object in a public place as a misdemeanor charge with a $50 fine. This violates the Eighth Amendment, which states that excessive fines shall not be imposed. $50 for leaving an item in public space, which all of us do when we park our car in the street, seems excessive to me. Most importantly, it also impinges on the 14th Amendment, which says that no state shall deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without the due process of law. It is clear this council is not bound by law. It is only us who are bound by law. The laws this city government makes can violate existing laws that supposedly protect our rights. And so long as property values are protected, the city council will steamroll on ahead. We may think the law exists to protect us, but if we look at ordinances like these, we see the law as it works in practice protects the interests of only the rich and the powerful. Thank you.
Louis Medina, followed by Billy Belcher, followed by L.A.
Hello, my name is Louis Medina. I'm with the Working Class and Houseless Organizing Alliance. Today, I'm here to speak to the people. You know, because we've already missed an opportunity. We had an opportunity to fight the city council, fight the city against evicting all these houseless people out of Center City, and they've already begun. Anybody that's paid attention, they put signs everywhere, from signs about, I mean, the streets are littered with signs, right? Everything from dogs and tents and well, whatever, they've removed them. Many houseless people told me they've already been pushed out, permanently banned. You know, we still do distribution. I was talking to a houseless person the other day, and he has one leg, and he was, you know, I was talking about the issues with the rich. They don't care about us. Our politicians, they don't care about us. The police, they don't care about us. Clearly, they don't care about us. And he said, he's like, that's true. And he started talking about houseless people. You know, he was like, but what about the other side? This is a houseless man with one leg, right? And it made me think, you know, I listened to him, and I interjected. And it made me think of how psychologically damaged and terrorized we are. You know, this man here should be defending houseless people. He's houseless. As he attacks them, he's attacking himself. It reminded me of my coworker when we go around, we drive around and we see a houseless person. He'll say, well, that person's lazy. He's a drug addict. But then we go to a rich neighborhood, you know, probably neighborhoods that these pigs live at, right? And they walk around and they don't go to work and they walk their dog for free. And he's like, oh, they earned their money. They earned all their money. They worked for it, right? It's just, you know, it makes me really sad that is why That is why those houseless people were kicked out, is because we weren't willing to fight for them, because we're too afraid to fight for ourselves. Why does this happen? Well, it's because they've taught us it. They taught us to not trust ourselves. They taught us to allow the most vulnerable, just keep our heads down, just ignore them, right? It's fine. You gotta keep making money. You gotta keep making them rich. You know, one day you'll make them rich. You watch, you do everything they tell you. You make sure they get enough money, and maybe you'll have a little something. You'll be able to feed your family, right? You'll be able to take care of yourself. Maybe you'll be able to retire. Just ignore everything else they're doing to everybody else. So psychologically damaged they've got us, right? And now it's already started. They've already removed all these houseless people. They've not provided the housing they said they would, right? They said they need to do it immediately. And now we're waiting until January, and it's getting colder and colder, right? When you let these ordinances pass, when you let your city government attack houseless people, what you basically said is, you've said, when I am houseless, they will attack me, and I'm okay with that, because that's the inevitable conclusion. Y'all should all see it. Inflation, right? The inflation's giving businesses an opportunity to price gouge. You know, they're making more and more profit off of it. And you see they're bringing up, was it bus fare? The city government's price gouging us. I mean,
Thank
they
you.
just keep doing it. You're welcome.
Billy Belcher, followed by L.A., followed by Tiffany.
I'm Billy Belcher from WOA, Working Class and Houseless Organizing Alliance. I'm here because the city is on the verge of hiring a new police chief. We just did this 3 years ago when y'all shamefully let Wayne Scott retire with all the blood on his hands and the lies in his mouth. And it's not just that at that time, Marcus Smith had been murdered. It's that hog tying and torturing Black people in that manner was routine in the department. That's normal policing. That is their job. Police brutalize people. Now, the exact technique of hog tying has been taken away, but the attitude and the actions in general remain unchanged. It is the same police department. I was at one of those talks with Ty last month, and he said he was very happy with Chief James's legacy. And when he said that, I couldn't help but think about Joseph Lopez and how he was murdered. I mean, what I can only honestly describe as a death squad went out and murdered an unarmed, defenseless Latino man. Did you watch a video of the Lopez murder, Ty? You on Facebook? You don't give a damn? I see you on Facebook. But if you watch the video, you would see like 20 cops go, and like the K9 was used on Lopez for no reason, right? They rushed in, shot him in the face for no reason. Did you see that? Were you happy when they shot him in the face? Is that what you're happy with, sir? Right? They claimed there was something in Lopez's hand. There wasn't. All the cops seemed okay with a lie. Are you happy when they lie? Is this the part you're happy with? Which part are you happy with? And what happened to the cops? Like one lamb got sacrificed and the rest of the squad went back to work. They're rewarded for the job they did for killing Mr. Lopez and trying to hide the truth. The fact is, police chiefs come and go, but the brutality and the dishonesty and the racism stay, because brutality against the poor is the job of a cop. Unfortunately, the city manager has made it clear that he's, quote, very happy with this system. And no matter who gets hired as a new police chief, we could expect more of the same. It is clear by now that this system cannot be reformed. It is inexcusable to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on a police force that does not and cannot reduce crime, that does not even solve much crime after it happens, and instead directs so much violence against minorities and against the poor. Y'all have made it plain and simple that we simply have to abolish policing as we know it and build a new system of community defense that is controlled by the poor and the working class to replace this institution of brutality that y'all are so
Thank you.
happy with. Clowns.
L.A., followed by Tiffany, followed by Christine Hopner.
How you doing? My name is Melvin Williams. I'm speaking on the homeless. I'm currently homeless myself and harassment. I've been in Greensboro for 11 years and it seems like every day I step out. Now, I done changed from criminalized, being a criminal to getting my own business, LLCs for Tech Two and Cash Mafia Family Incorporation. But it seemed like ever since I did that, it seemed like the police been harassing me everywhere I go. And one day I had got locked up for possession of weed. And I had got out, it was less than an ounce, but she lied and said I had an ounce of weed on me, which it wasn't. Then when I got out, walking to the Up Summit to my wife, it was a white officer driving and a black officer in the passenger seat. They pulled me aside, said, "Hey, Mr. Woods, how you doing? We seen you got out. We're gonna do anything we can to arrest you, everything, even if we got to plant some dirt on you." And on top of that, a lot of homeless people out here do not have nowhere to go and it's constantly getting harassed because they stand at the park or in a cubbyhole where our business closed at. And like somebody said earlier, a lot of people, the park is their home. Like they really don't have nowhere to go. Then like you might have somebody out there in the cold, you see somebody trying to get warm or something like that. They be like, "No, you can't be there," or a policeman could come. And it just happened to me numerous times that somebody called on my dogs, but they weren't doing nothing. So they called the police, was like, "Well, they gotta get off the property." And I'm trying to get my dogs off the tree. And the police officer walked up on me like in my personal space. And I'm like, "Excuse me, can I get my dogs?" He said, "No, you can't. So you mean to tell me if my dog bites you, it'd be on my fault?" But it's a lot of police officers out here that carry their badge too much and think they tough because they got a badge. And it's not the case. Don't get me wrong, you got some good police officers out here. But the ones that's good and like the badge will make them look bad, but like it's a lot of, let me say, criminalization, just basically judge a book by its cover. And a lot of people, like I said, yeah, they probably did wrong in the past, but they still judge it. And a lot of people, when they get judged, they so tired of it. Me, myself, they so get tired of getting judged. They like somebody said earlier, that's basically what they know is stick to survival. And like with these jobs, yeah, we got families, including myself. Like right now, I'm on probation for found by felony. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a second chance program, which that's a lie because I done did Walmart and everything, FedEx and all. They still won't let me get a job due to my background. Like I said, they judge it, but you book by a couple before you read the book. And that's not right for a lot of people because a lot of good people out here in this world and like they just need help and guidance. And some of the counselors, like, some of them help, but a lot of them don't like people homeless. And like I said, they kicking away from the IRC. You can't sleep out there no more. The park, anywhere they lay your heads at, it's not safe for nobody because we don't have no proper place to lay our head at.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, Melvin,
Mr. Matheny?
Melvin, come back for a second, please.
Oh, this is my wife, by the way.
I know. I'm gonna ask her some of the same stuff. So would you prefer me to call you Melvin or
Yes,
LA?
Melvin, doesn't matter.
That's because that's how you introduce yourself when the
Yes, sir.
manager and I came to talk to you.
Yes, sir.
Do you feel like when we had our conversation that I harassed you in any way?
At first, yes, but that's before I understood what you were saying.
Yeah,
And
was it more so concern that you felt that I might harass you versus me actually getting to know you?
yes,
And then once you got to know me, did you feel safer?
I wouldn't say safe. I felt more comfortable.
Comfortable.
Yes.
Comfortable is a good word. Because I sit up here and I sit up here many a nights and I get slammed by saying that I harass folks at our houses. But
Wait, your time.
Last time when you talked to me, when it was just the Christmas lighting, I can honestly say
Tiffany,
you are one of the council members all the council members that I have came encounter with.
You will
that
have an
honestly
opportunity
do
to
not
speak.
harass. You actually get comfortable with us and try to get to know us on our type of level that people like GPD and everybody need to get to know us on. You actually trying to stoop down to our level instead of taking the power that you have and running with it like my husband was trying to say.
Well, I appreciate it, Tiffany. And it's not a matter of really, and I'm just going to help you a little bit because and I'll talk to you in a second because I don't want to get in trouble with the mayor or anybody else. But I just wanted that to be on the record.
Okay.
So I appreciate you coming down here.
Oh, I'm coming every time.
I appreciate you coming down. I know I'll see you probably downtown soon,
All right.
but I just wanted to ask you that. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Tiffany, followed by Christine Hupner, followed by Jason Hicks.
Hi, I'm Tiffany. Like my husband and Zach currently stated, we are part of the homeless committee. So, like my husband said, they keep coming at him and they keep coming at me due to my husband's background. Mind you, I don't have a background. But because of my husband's background and everybody keep wanting to judge him like a book by its cover, when the book that y'all trying to judge through my husband, he's nothing like that. He honestly is a person that, like Zach said, he had to get to know. Because at the end of the day, y'all constantly judging me by my husband's actions or by my husband's past when he done did a whole 360. It makes no sense. And it's like you have other married couples out here in the homeless committee, like me and my husband, that they get judged by their significant other or their family, whatever the case may be, they get judged by their actions. The reason why Zach brought up about seeing us downtown is because the park, like my husband was bringing up, they pretty much judge my husband on our animals and our service animals, which is technically no reason for y'all to judge us. They banned me for my first time at the park and they keep blaming it on it's the city council or it's GPD's fault or it's this. No, y'all blame me following my husband's actions because the simple fact is my husband's criminal background and his past, which he has did a whole 360 behind. And I'm a living witness of 11 years being with this man, 5 years married to him. I know this man his whole life. I know the 360 that he has done. And then it's like they keep harassing us with these new city ordinance or whatever y'all want to call them. Y'all want to keep harassing us homeless like they keep harassing me and my husband about our car. Where are we supposed to be? Where are we supposed to store our car? Where are we supposed to put our car if we have nowhere to put it? And majority of our life is in our car. We keep getting ticketed after ticket after ticket because it looks like we abandoned our car or our car doesn't fit the city coordinates. Well, we're homeless. What are we supposed to do? Where are we supposed to park anything at? That car has most of our life in it due to us, our service animals and all. This literally just got put on our car this morning saying we have 7 days to move our car. But at the end of the day, we're homeless. Where are we going to move our car to? Y'all are supposed to open this safe parking, this safe housing, whatever the case may be. And we have yet to see any of it at all.
Don't go.
Thank you.
Don't go. And I
You
know
know it's about to,
technically
Zach.
we're not supposed to engage on these, but this is, Tiffany, I appreciate you coming down. And you know, you and I have interacted. We interacted Friday night of the Festival of Lights.
Yes.
And what was our conversation? You said they kicked me out. I just want to see the tree lighting. And what did I say? I said,
Don't
"You go
worry
see the
about
tree
it.
lighting."
We can
I didn't
come, me and my husband could come into the
I
park
said, "You're
as
gonna
long as
see
we
it."
want. As long as we don't don't do nothing wrong, we can
Now-
come watch the tree lighting and all.
You deserve to see the tree lit just like
Stop.
anybody else.
Stop.
Now, my question is, Mr. Manager, I see Ms. Kennedy. She was over there. Can't see if she's left.
He's gone.
One of the things I've asked Tiffany and Melvin, who I want to call LA because that's his other name, is how could we not have gotten them into the Regency? And if they live out of their car right now, then why can't they be in the safe parking? And what parameters, if we know that they're there, can we not reach out and say, here's where we're doing this. We're spending, even though I voted against it, hundreds of thousands of dollars, but you got a case right here that you and I met with a month ago, 6 weeks ago. They're a perfect opportunity. So Tiffany, hopefully Mr. Manager will get April or somebody to connect
And that's
with
the
you.
thing, speaking like I was telling you with the Christmas lightings, that we have been in ending the program ending Partnership Ending Homelessness for almost 2 years. And like I was telling you, our case manager, Jessica Littleton, was working on our vouchers. She just finally got our vouchers issued to us where we can get our housing as of tomorrow. Finally, and it's all because I honestly can say, like I said earlier, I honestly can say it's all because of you and the ambassadors downtown. If it wasn't because of you and the ambassadors downtown and Miss Jessica doing beyond what she's supposed to do for us as her clients, we would have still been living outside of our car. And then on top of that, we now have a child on the way. And it's like, which you got, like I was trying to say earlier, you have other families out here. And then with people who's pregnant like me, we get CPS called on us because we don't have nowhere to put our kids, or we don't have nowhere to take care of our kids.
All right, Tim, the mayor's gonna get mad at me for starting this, but I want to say this. You know, some people, it's uncomfortable to come down here. You seem pretty doggone comfortable coming down here. So I've enjoyed getting to know you. I'm glad. Hopefully you're going to have a roof over your head with Melvin and the dogs. I'll see you around, but hopefully not at the park, hopefully around with a roof.
Oh,
over
no,
your head.
we coming back to the park because we got something to prove. We coming
Yeah.
back, we got something.
And the
to prove.
tree's still lit.
Followed by Jason Hicks, followed by Sid Branch, and those are the only speakers I have signed up left. If you've signed up and I haven't called your name, please let the courier know.
My name is Christine Hoffner. I attended the Homeless Task Force meeting last Wednesday. The expert from Tulsa gave a very basic but thorough overview of the various issues that force people into homelessness and of the broad range of solutions the city of Tulsa successfully provides. There was so much info provided, I couldn't take it all in, so I checked out Tulsa's website. And from that, I learned the expert didn't address two very important issues: the key role of Tulsa's mayor and city council in the success of their housing program, and the core values that drive Tulsa's program. The success of Tulsa's program makes it a good model to follow. So whether you're on the task force or not, you need to know the elements of Tulsa's success. The website spells out that the committed support for both the funding and values that mayor and city council provided. Tulsa's housing programs are successful in part because the mayor and city council were fully behind them and adequately funded them. The other aspect of Tulsa's success is that it is grounded in solid values. The most important one, and Tulsa is explicit about this, and all participating organizations have signed on to it, is that housing is a human right. Tulsa is committed to providing decent, safe, affordable housing for all its residents. There, they believe that can be done along with economic growth. Here in Greensboro, these goals instead are seen as a zero-sum. In Tulsa, rather than work directly with developers, Tulsa City Council awards city funds to neighborhood organizations who then choose to work with developers that they trust. The values that underlie Tulsa's program are well considered. Tulsa recognizes the need to address historical economic inequities, including redlining and exclusionary zoning. Redlining is somewhat complicated since it's a banking, not a government practice. And we can be proud here in North Carolina that exclusionary zoning was ruled unconstitutional by North Carolina Supreme Court less than a year after it was instituted here in Greensboro. But Greensboro faces a history that Tulsa apparently does not. I've seen land records showing that Greensboro instituted racial restrictive covenants on some property owners. That is, Greensboro legally mandated that property could not be sold to Black people. So while that was almost 100 years ago, the issue is that wealth gets built through ownership over time. And that's a long time to compensate for. To switch to a different topic, a bit about city branding. Tulsa has a reputation as America's most generous city. Let's see if Greensboro can live up to some generosity. Thank you.
Good evening, council. My name is Jason Hicks. Before I go into my prepared remarks, I just want to say that there's a certain amount of irony in allowing Councilman Matheny to bogart this meeting earlier when it came to the downtown district. I came before you in September to express concern regarding the treatment of the unhoused in Center City Park. I couldn't accept a response of we're working on it, so I began to look into it. What I uncovered were all the reasons Zach Matheny shouldn't be on this council. Zach Matheny has used his position on this council to manipulate legislation, ordinances, and future contracts for the benefit of Downtown Greensboro Incorporated and himself. Zach Matheny, with the help of some members of this council, have created an open-air prison in downtown Greensboro and other areas across this city. All right. I'm going to skip to the good part then, since you want to be a smart ass. So let's get to that. Earlier today, complaint form 13909 was filed with the Internal Revenue Service against Downtown Greensboro Incorporated and Zach Matheny. The grounds of this complaint are excessive lobbying. Zach Matheny's position as president of DGI, while also a direct member of this council, is a direct violation of the Lobbying Disclosure Act of 1995. Okay. As well as Title 26 of U.S. Code Section 501c6. Furthermore, a complaint is being drafted against Zach Matheny and other members of this council for direct violations of North Carolina General Statute 14-234.3 subsection A and D, and also 138A-36. You all have been given ample opportunity to find solutions to the concerns of the community. Let this serve as notice that the community will no longer allow you to make poor decisions without consequences.
And the last speaker that I have signed up is Sid Branch.
Okay, I'm Sid Branch, and okay. So I live on Martin Avenue. Everybody knows my address. I complained about the people that send
Mr.
me.
Branch, could you get a little closer to the microphone?
Okay. So, okay, now I gotta start. Okay, I'm Sid Branch. I live in Martin Avenue. My address is well known because they keep sending me, they want to buy my house. And I find it very offensive that my address is given out. Now they've got my phone number. I give them Niet comrade. They're all from Russia, I know. So, okay. I previously was here to talk about maybe having an ombudsman to talk about things general people could talk about. I had a barking dog problem. So I did as suggested, but the idea to call law enforcement is not a solution to me, and I can insert why, but I finished putting up fencing and joined the Barking Dog Club. Each yard has different reasons for the dog. There's the howling when sirens scream to 29. I talked to Goldie. I said mentioned about how they're speeding down 29. Maybe you could put a sign up and say, there are people that live here, slow down when you're coming from Reedsville or wherever the heck you're coming from. Okay, I divert. Have you noted the amount of accidents? I can go there too. Our response to the occasional Harley Prime US and mail truck is in tune with the original nuisance, but now there's new offenders. Big diesel trucks, big tech trailers, usually laden with Bobcat, other maintenance equipment. Many Greensboro equipment guys, school buses, although only a few kids get on and off in this section, they go jamming up the street. I know part of the lure here is that a stop sign has been put on Sykes Street to cease cross-traffic crashes. So now there's a straightaway from McKnight to Rankin. The revving up of the diesel guys starts in front of my house. What makes it news is there's a sign at the corner that says no box trucks. And I got a call from a friend of mine right at this moment, and I didn't finish. But why would the city put up a sign that says no box trucks, the circle, no box trucks? Why would they do that? I think it might be because of the weight of these trucks. Because when they go by that guy's house, they go boom, boom, boom. Oh, that's what makes the dog bark. I get it now. So what I would like to know, and it goes back to your law enforcement, and people are talking about what they will do and what they won't do, safety. I have a real problem with safety problem issues. You're not stopping cars because they have a tail light out because of what the officer might do when he sees the guy driving. That doesn't make sense. And I could go on and on about that. But
Thank you.
they gave me a bing. I should have 5 seconds for the guy that was talking when I was talking. And because I couldn't talk loud enough, but that's okay. I think all the laws, codes or whatever, should have a minute and a half videotape. It also symbols live.
Thank
music
you.
Next door also makes the dogs bark. Sat for 2 hours with my dog because these people like to play music, do fireworks, etc.
Those are the end of the speakers from the floor. It would be good if we could take a break for a couple of minutes. I know we don't have much left on our agenda, but we do need to give a break to our closed caption people. 10 minutes.
When you think the house is built.
minutes.
Yes, you may.
Let's see, now we move on to the general business portion of the meeting, and item I.2 is an ordinance amending chapter 2 of the Greensboro Code of Ordinance with respect to authority to the city manager to execute service contracts.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Boozawader, seconded by Mrs. Hightower.
Mr. Boozaway, will you press the move button? Okay. Yeah. Tried to press.
Council, please vote. Mrs. Hoffman?
Yes.
Thank you. And that passes 9-0. Boards and commissions, Mrs. Hoffman? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I have none.
So,
Was she looking down here? Was she?
but I,
She's got a suntan, Miss Hoffman.
Mrs. Hightower,
Ms. Hoffman looking better every day.
didn't we get it all? We got it all.
No, I don't have anything.
No,
Not
Mr.
tonight, I will next week because I need to clean up some stuff.
No boards and commissions.
No, not
Um,
tonight, not
Mr.
tonight, but I will.
Holston,
I have none for tonight.
Mr. Mazzini,
I'd like to reappoint Jim Guy into the ABC board.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone else? Ms. Abuzawader?
No, none this evening.
I would like to appoint Hugh Holston to the audit committee to take the spot vacated by Mr. Outling.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And there is like a meeting next week. Okay.
Make sure.
I have
Where you
none.
gonna
No.
be going?
Dr. Wells,
I'd like to appoint Dr. Latoya Gathers to replace Dan Lyons on the ABC board.
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And I'd like to appoint Laverne Lamb to replace Wesley McGuire on the GTA.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Mrs. Thurm?
I have one appointment. I'd like to appoint Connor Baker to the Sustainability Council to replace Carol Carter, who resigned.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Mrs. Hoffman, do you have any appointments?
No, I have none. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Now we'll go to council comments. I do want to mention that the city of Greensboro on Friday received a perfect score from the HRC, the Human Rights Campaign, for our Municipal Equality Index. It's the MEI score. And Greensboro for years has had a perfect score. And that in large part has to do with staff and the steps that we've taken to really focus on LGBTQ issues. As a matter of fact, we led North and South Carolina for a couple of years, and then South Carolina started implementing some programs. I'm proud of that 100 score that we got and that we continue to get. I am concerned, and Mrs. Thurman and I had the discussion about the hate speech surrounding LGBTQ people that we see and that we see in the news, and with our Jewish population. It seems to me that hate speech is on the rise. And I want people in the city of Greensboro to know that this is a place where we want people to live and to thrive, and that we reject all forms of hate speech, especially things that we see in the news. I hope that if people are feeling victimized, or if they hear of things that are going to happen, that they let us know. We have no reason to believe that anything like Moore County is, would happen here in the city of Greensboro, but we certainly want to be cognizant of what is happening throughout the entire country and in North Carolina. Mrs. Thurm?
Thank you for that. I'd just like to add that along with that, just about a week and a half ago, we had our first transgender vigil for those in our state and across the country and throughout the world that have been victims and killed because they were transgender. And it was a very solemn occasion. We had a nice crowd. It was our first time the Transgender Task Force first vigil. And I thought it was very beautiful and very moving. And I want to thank the task force for their efforts on that. Two other points. I want to congratulate and appreciate Diane Bellamy Small. The first annual Diane Bellamy Small Award was awarded at the GAC at a reception last week. We've trained over 11,000 second graders to swim, Guilford County second graders to swim at the GAC, and that's an amazing number. And a wonderful thing. You know, so many of us take learning to swim for granted that, and we don't realize that everybody doesn't have that opportunity. We don't think about that sometimes, but you know, that could not only be 11,000 kids learning to enjoy water and water sports, but it could have saved who knows how many lives. And I think that's just so important. And the last thing
Tammy,
is,
before you go on, I just want to say I was remiss by not recognizing Maria Hicks Few for the wonderful job that she has done helping compile that MEI score. It takes a lot of work and it takes being intentional, and she and her staff have done a great job over the years.
thank you. And lastly, I'd like to thank everybody at DGI that worked so hard to make the past weekend an amazing weekend in Greensboro. You know, the Festival of Lights Friday night just shows Greensboro at what I believe is its very best. And it was a wonderful event. The parade was a little wet, and next time I hope DGI could work on the weather. But other than that, it was a great weekend in Greensboro. And Zach, thank you and your staff for giving us the gift of that last celebration to kick off the holidays.
Dr. Wells?
We had a tour of the Washington Street on November the 29th. Philip Morris kind of initiated a tour of the Washington Street area, and we boarded the bus, and there were folks on there from different departments of the city, and we looked at East Greensboro over in that area, and it was quite enlightening. So I think that the whole tour was enlightening to all of us who so I want to thank Philip for that. And I enjoyed the holiday parade. It was a little misty and rainy, but we had fun, all the elected officials on the float. And I would like to invite all of you in our community. We encourage neighborhoods and communities to join forces and come together to make their neighborhood and their communities better. So we've had 2 meetings up in District 2 of a group called What's in Your Hands, and they're pulling folk together to talk about things in the community. I would like to invite all of you, the District 2, especially to the District 2 Town Hall, 6:30 on Thursday night of this week. We will be at the Global Learning Center at A&T. And we will have
college.
I'm sorry, that's Bennett College.
Well, get it right.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's at Bennett College.
Thank
Oh, my,
you.
the Bennett
Thank
Bell
you.
over here. So it's at Bennett College, at the Global Learning Center Lecture Hall. We'll have the city manager there and housing and neighborhood development, workforce development, and transportation. We're going to switch it a little bit this time to let the citizens talk to the leaders, to the department heads, and then the department head would just listen and see if there's any way that they can hear things that they can do and address the citizens to make some changes. So I invite all of you to come. I was accused of taking all of the time and letting all the presenters present for the whole hour and then give half an hour to the people. So I'm going to reverse it. So this time, we're just going to give the time to the people and then we'll hear from the leaders. And I'd just like to make a personal request. We've had so much in District 2, and I know in District 1, we've had violence. We've had people killed. We've had senseless drive-bys, and we hear the sound of gunshots in our community. And I want to appeal to all of you. We're going into the Christmas season, and lots of things happen in Christmas season. Some folks are upset because they don't have what they need or want for the season. Some get a little too much of something to drink or whatever, and a lot of things happen. But I want to appeal to you to just treat your neighbor the way you want to be treated. Don't use violence. Think. And remember, this is our community. We are all here together. We're different people. We're different nationalities, different ethnic groups, but all of us, we're here and we're all different, but we're the same when it comes down to it. And people say, when we cut, all of us bleed red blood. But I just want to appeal to you, just exercise some, it really gets down to love. Love your fellow man. Stop the violence. It is getting out of hand. Our city is getting a bad name because of it. Our neighborhoods, especially my district, because I think I have the most murders in homicides in District 2. So I'm appealing to you, please stop the violence. Try to live peaceful during this peaceful season, the holiday season.
Thank you. That was very well put. Mrs. Thurm, I know you stated something else.
Yeah, I'd just like to request that we got an email today, and I've been dealing with some residents recently on the Airbnb short-term rental. And I'd like us to get back around to that and making some decisions on that sooner rather than later, so we can put this issue to bed and let the residents know where we're going to be on this.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, Ms. Thurm already mentioned that many of us were at the Coliseum for the Toyota US Open Championship, which brought us an economic impact, $4 million for that one particular thing. And I represented the mayor that day. She asked that I do that, and she was trying to heal a little bit. I think she's doing better. But we also threw kudos for the Aquatic Center because, as Tammy Thurm said, over 11,000 was over 11,000 some odd 100 young people have learned to swim. And to me, that means that's 11,000 some odd young people who have a chance of doing what God would have them do in our community or wherever they are. They won't drown, at least they won't drown. And since the Aquatic Center has been in Greensboro, the economic impact is something like $206 million. astronomical amount of money for that. But I was happy to go, Mayor, and it was wonderful. And thanks again to Toyota for not only coming here and building a manufacturing center and having, we'll have almost 1,800 jobs available, but for also becoming and involving themselves in our community, which is so important. I can't amen enough what Dr. Wells said about violence and really thinking about how would I feel if one of my family members were killed or shot or hurt. We all have feelings, and we have got to work hard at learning how to disagree and not be violent. And so I just want to say amen to that, Goldie, and encourage that. And for those of you who are watching and you see people act rude in this chamber, which is embarrassing to me, I hope that you will teach your children that that is not the way to act. That is not the way to go about, even if you disagree with someone, but to single out somebody and just complaining, if you know, you may have a point, you may not, but that is not the way to act, to holler as you're going out the door, to act like an orangutan. That's what my aunt used to say. Don't you ever go out here and act like an orangutan. But at any rate, let your children know this is no way to act. This is no way to conduct yourself. You can disagree with someone, but you can also show respect for them as a human being. And that's important to me. I will see you before the holidays, but have a great holiday. Be safe and encourage everybody in your groups, your synagogues, churches, mosques, to reach out and to resist being violent and being hurting anyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Abuzawader?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Once again, the Festival of Lights. Thank you, Zach. And I'll let Zach talk about it, but he gave a key to the city to someone very special, but I'll let him go into detail about that. It was an enjoyable evening, and you know, the community is just all about doing this. It was just so heartwarming to see everybody, children, people, older people, younger people, everybody was there. So it was just a very heartwarming thing. And everyone who had a part in it, I know a lot of the city departments and DGI, of course. And luckily the power came back on and the generator just in time for the program to start. So things worked out very well. So thank you, Zach. Also, I did want to say, for those who are watching the soccer championships in Qatar, United States unfortunately didn't quite make it to the semifinals now, I think? The quarterfinals, yes, quarterfinals, but Morocco is still in there. So there's quite a few teams to root for those who are interested in soccer. And that's all I had, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Mr. Matheny?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, you know, Goldie, I served with you for many years, and I've heard you speak with passion on many items. That's probably the best talk I've ever heard you give. And it's completely thrown me for a loop in the sense of all the things that are going on in life, what you are experiencing, what you spoke to really meant something to me. And so I hope that folks throughout will listen to you and take heed on that. We have lost way too many citizens, not only this year, but throughout the years. And when you talk about the Festival of Lights, the unique thing about the Festival of Lights is there's thousands of people led by the A&T Gospel Choir, shoulder to shoulder, every diverse background you can think of, singing holiday carols. And it's the most, to me, it's the most magical night in our community. And then, you know, just hearing, you know, you hear the stuff that comes out from people, the hatred that comes out of people with really no substance whatsoever. And you remind of what this community actually is. And you saw it last Friday night. You saw it Saturday. And then to hear your impassioned speech, it just really spoke to me. And so I appreciate you saying that, because there is still a lot of hurt, heartache out there, and anger, and poor choices for folks taking anger out in a way that they shouldn't do it. And so you got me. I don't have anything else.
Thank you. Mr. Holston?
I will also say, Dr. Wells, thank you so very much. There's been a lot going on, as has been said by many here, and I've kind of boiled it down in my mind to, we just need to care more, and we need to be more tolerant. We need to care for the long term, not just in the short term, not just for the moment, but for the long term, and care about others and the impact that we have on other people, whether that's good or whether that's bad. We're talking about those bad instances where folks just don't care enough, and we need to find a way to help them to care more, whether it could impact their families, impact their neighborhoods, their communities. I don't want to be selfish and talk about the city of Greensboro, because this is really a personal thing, and be more tolerant of folks who are just different from you. It's not a bad thing to be different. We've always said that diversity is a strength, and it is in this situation also. So we need to care more and also be more tolerant. Madam Mayor, I do have a couple of things to discuss. I know we've already talked about, and we've heard about the East Washington Street tour with Philip Marsh, and you've heard about the Learn to Swim Service Award that was awarded to Board of Education member T. Diane Bellamy Small. We also heard about the Festival of Lights and the Key to the City that Morgan Radford received. There's another couple of things that I have to share. Just this past Saturday, had the great opportunity to over on McConnell Road. They had a celebration of Hero Homes. That's a collaboration between True Homes and the Residential Project Lab at A&T, Faith-Based Community, and Reverend Greg Drumright, where they've constructed 3 homes for workforce housing. And it was a big ceremony, and the new homeowners were there, and the students were there who helped to build and learn a trade and a skill. And I talked with the president of True Homes, and he says that he wants to do more. He wants to do this. He's doing some in Winston-Salem. He's doing some in Greensboro, but he wants to do more. And I told him that we'd be a great partner for him to do more and more of this. Beautiful homes, beautiful new owners, and was teachers, public safety, veterans. It's just really, really exciting to see that home ownership, especially in an area that was impacted by the F2 tornado back in 2018. It's right there in that corridor. So it's not only new homes, but it's helping to rebuild a community that has been hurt. And so I was very excited to be a part of that event. Something else I'm excited about is our new diversity calendar. And I'm sorry, it's a point of personal privilege, and I'm going to poke Zach right here, but very excited to hear that I believe it's new, the International Men's Day, November 19th. Really excited to have that. I see you, Deputy Golson, kind of, but I'm really excited to have that, in addition to all the others, the recognition. And along that same line, just a final note here, speaking of diversity in the calendar, speaking of the Divine Nine fraternities and sororities, I want to say a happy Founders Day, somewhat belatedly, but happy Founders Day to the sorority of Sigma Gamma Rho, who celebrated their Founders Day back in November 12th. To the men of Omega Psi Phi fraternity, who celebrated their Founders Day on November 17th, and also to the men of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, who celebrated their Founders Day on December 4th. And I say that to say that, but we saved the best for last, but that'll be next month in January for J5. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm finished.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So save the best for last, as always.
Well, we still have Mrs. Hoffman.
Oh, Miss Hoffman. Well, I'm Miss Hoffman. Remember you? You getting a,
I guess you're interchangeable.
you're getting a dual role here, you know? And you're and Mr. Hoffman over here. So let me say first, let me ask, this, and then I'll go down the same path everybody else went down. Few weeks ago, I asked a question around how much, does A&T's homecoming bring to the city? And I haven't heard anything as of yet. And so I'd kind of like to, if we can follow up on that and see where we are with calculating that. You know, there's a lot of negativity sometimes surrounding an event that comes, but this event brings millions of dollars into this city. I don't think it gets the credit it deserves for what it does to the economy here. And so I would really like to see that captured. Because I believe it's probably, if it's not the premier event, it's probably in the top 3, being number 2 behind Wyndham, and number 3 in front of ACC. Now the ACC may not be here as much, but they are the top 3. I know for a fact. We see a lot of people, furniture market, but we see a lot of people here. So if we can follow up on that, that was something that I wanted to ask about. Second thing is some of the comments made tonight from some of the speakers that came forth. You know, they talk a lot about sometimes racism and systemic racism and things. And I think we all need an education lesson sometimes about what that means and who that impacts the greatest. You know, because it's something that many of us have lived with and continue to live with for years. It's real. One thing was brought up tonight about where Black people years ago were restricted from living with restrictive covenants. Yes, there were restrictive covenants for colored only sections of town, but I do believe, Mr. City Attorney, that all of those restrictive covenants are no longer around and in effect. How do we ensure and make sure? I know they're probably not on the book, they've expired, whatever, but we have to sometimes address the rhetoric and to make sure that people clearly understand how we progressed in that regard. It's not, that doesn't mean that everything's still done right, but I'm saying that's no longer on the books.
Well, the sad story is that they're still on the deeds in some places, but they're not enforceable. And some, it's one of the projects I've been thinking about doing as sort of a pro bono thing for the office is to maybe work on trying to remove them from deeds. But like if the law was to change and they started to enforce them again, you know, the Supreme Court might change that like they changed Roe versus Wade. At least the date they wouldn't be on the deed, but they do exist on deeds.
Yeah, there is a fear, I think, among our community still that based on a political climate, things could return. Things could come back. So yeah, the concern is there and it's real. And so I just wanted to see where we're landing amidst all of that. So that would be interesting to know if you decide to take something like that on or how you look at that, if you will. And so let me say that I echo Goldie and certainly my other colleagues around violence in the community. It is troubling that we deal with it. Sad to say, every time I see an email with the police guy's name on it, I immediately start looking to see the address. Where is it at? What district is it in? Did the person survive? Because any loss of life is troubling. Any act of violence is troubling, and we need to really learn how to de-escalate situations when we have them. And I know that we have Cure Violence working on some of that, and we have other partners working on some of that. But I hope we can address it over the holiday season where we show more love than we do hate. Hate is prevalent in all aspects of the community. Hate is real. Hate is out there. And so historically, in my history and in my ancestry, hate has been around since the 1800s, the 1700s. It's real. And it is still happening today in 2020. And so hopefully we can all get to a place of like. Not necessarily mean I do love you, but I can like you. I can respect you. And I think that's where we need to get to. Maybe one day we'll get to a love place. But until we do, let's at least agree to disagree and like one another and say, hey, you're you and I'm me, and that's the way we were created by God. So hopefully over this season of love and unity, we will find a place that we can settle in and get along, and that I don't have to start looking at those emails and saying, oh God, who is it now? What mother lost her child? What brother lost his sister? So I hope and pray that everybody hears that and understands the spirit in which is given. I enjoyed your Festival of Lights, Zach, as I always do. Sorry, I missed A&T. But it does kick us off for the holiday. And so I'm always excited to get on stage and sing badly, but it was enjoyable. And so thank you very much for doing that. The tree is beautiful. And so as it's lit. I did have a tour. I took the tour with Goldie and Hugh in East Greensboro. And finally, I was at the swim event at the Aquatic Center. And by the way, Mr. Hugh, you forgot to report that the Coliseum is making money. Over $1 million+ they saw recently in an event. So they are doing well at the Coliseum with all the various events. They're selling out more than they anticipated. So that is a venue that is really doing, I think, tremendous in the community. They're bringing in acts. I don't know all who's coming in. They're bringing in so many. We don't know, but they are making money as well. Or we say they're making money. And so I was there with the Aquatic Center event as well with Toyota. And so as we talk about 11,000 children that have been saved through the Learn to Swim program, let's think further. Let's think about their siblings, okay? While they've learned to swim and they may have learned to save their life, what about their sibling? How do we look at that? How to make sure that that brother who maybe has already gone through the second grade and didn't get that opportunity in the second grade, but is out there. How do we reach that one? So I'd like to see us maybe have a community event, a community swim event where we find out people who, didn't go through that program, the young kids that didn't go through that program, but offer even another opportunity to save lives. We're going to have some fabulous pools when we get our Warnersville pool done, our Peeler pool done, when Windsor Chavis is online with the aquatic feature that they're going to have. We're going to have many ways to make sure our communities are all our children are swimming. And it just dawned on me when I heard that day, 11,000 and something. And I thought, how many of them got a sibling that wants to swim as well? I would love to know that. And so let's think about how we can maybe offer some additional opportunities. Mr. City Manager, I've been thinking about some things and how we create some partnerships around that. And with that being said, we're just doing positive things in the community, and I am proud to be a representative of District 1 East Greensboro. We got some exciting things coming. So thanks again. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Mrs. Hoffman?
I would just like to thank Dr. Wells for her message. I think we all should take that to heart. And we've been talking about the GAC and the Learn to Swim program. We've created a private organization at this point, which will allow people to privately contribute to the swim program at the Aquatic Center. And a $40 contribution will support teaching one child to swim. So that could be something that I hope more and more people would be aware of. It's a terrific way to honor or our gift to present to people, certainly during this holiday season. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I know that there have been a lot of comments about the Coliseum, and last weekend they had over 40,000 people come through the Coliseum. Disney on Ice was there for 6 shows. And my understanding is that it broke all records for a Disney show. Friday night, the Swarm played to a sold out crowd. And it was a celebration from Novant because they are now a naming sponsor of the field house. So we certainly appreciate the commitment, the financial commitment that they made to the city of Greensboro and to the Swarm. I forgot to make one appointment, and that is the GC Jack. They need a chair, and I believe that it was chosen that it would be Adam Marshall. He is already on GC Jack, so we just need to go ahead by affirmation and have him be the chair of GC Jack. And then I think there'll probably be a few more openings over the next few months. So,
Yes.
is there a
That's fine.
second?
So moved.
All in
Second.
favor, say aye.
Second.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Mr. City, Dr. Wells?
I forgot one thing. I went out to the shopping center, your mayor's initiative for disability. They had their shopping day, and it was a big success.
yes.
They had about 900 participants, and it's really a great adventure. They have the students from the high school. They have students from the high school to pair up with someone who has a disability. They give them money to shop. They wrap their gifts for them, and it's a learning experience for both of them because they find out what people with disabilities, the problems and the challenges they have every day. But it was a big success, and our folks from the community department pulled it together. They did a great job.
They do a great job. Mr. City Manager?
Thank you. Tomorrow morning, I'll be shadowing the principal at Grimsley High School, be a principal for a day. Looking forward to that. That's it.
Mr. City Attorney?
I do want to just give some credit to Dr. Wells's comments. I had a personal experience this Sunday that was just surreal. And luckily, I was able to diffuse the situation and leave with my life. I had a chance to talk to one of the people that was involved in it and really made the point that if something happened to me, what would happen to my family? Something happened to you, what would happen to your family? It was insane, but luckily I survived.
We're glad
Well,
you're all right.
Yes. Thank you. And thank you for sharing that experience.
Right, you're all right.
Yes, moved by Mr. Matheny, seconded by Mr. Holston. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? All right, we are